It's no cinch, no picnic, no piece of cake, no breeze, no slam dunk, no walk in the park. It is the hardest mission ever attempted in the history of robotic planetary exploration. No ifs, no ands, no buts. Mars Science Laboratory, the landing of Curiosity. Live coverage begins August 5th at 11:30 p.m. Eastern on NASA TV.
Okay, our current nav situation, they're working on a couple issues with their terminal, but otherwise everything is good. We are pretty much right on target, right where we need to be. So we've had a clean ride so far, and we'll come back to them later to see if anything has changed. In a couple of minutes, the EDL activity lead and I will brief the flight team on what to expect over the next hour or so, as we're just over 50 minutes from entry. So we'll talk about what activities are between here and EDL start, and then we'll also talk about what folks should expect to see data-wise throughout EDL.
Testbed flight.
Could we go to a local net?
Standby 1. Let's go to local 1.
Sounds good.
MSTV flight on level 1.
That's right.
Go for it.
And while I have a moment, I'd like to show you two visualizations we'll be using during our landing coverage. One of them is what we talked about just a little bit earlier. It's the Eyes on the Solar System, which is a computerized simulation using predicted data to illustrate mission activities. It gives you a sense of what things will look like from different vantage points, including the view from the spacecraft, from the surface, and more in real time. You can ride along with us to Gale Crater, in fact, using Eyes on the Solar System on your own computer by visiting eyes.nasa.gov. And then during entry, descent, and landing, we hope to have a real-time visualization, a simulation also based on telemetry from Curiosity via the Mars Odyssey orbiter. We have that display only if we have a communications link with Odyssey during landing. Even then, there may be data dropouts as Curiosity switches antennas during her different configurations. The screen will pause for just a short time with the last known state of the spacecraft, and you will also see the location and orientation of the vehicle and the velocity, altitude, and the amount of fuel on the descent stage on the dials that you see along the bottom, all reported in real time by the vehicle on its way to the surface. So there you have it. Two visualizations, one based on predicted information, and the other will only be available if we get that real-time telemetry from Odyssey. And one more time, let's go back to Alan, back in Mission Control.
The EDL activity lead right now is giving a briefing to the flight team on what to expect between now and through EDL. Shortly thereafter, I'll give a briefing to the team on what to expect from an EDL comm perspective, what kind of data we expect to see during EDL. So we can listen in right now to the activity lead.
This will result in the navigation filter not syncing to the cruise sensor data anymore, and the navigation filter will now propagate exclusively on the DMU until the TDS is powered on and running. UHF will be powered on but not transmitting at this point. Following that, at 10:09 local time, the HRS vent anchor will execute. Here, the BCBs will be placed in manual mode in preparation for firing pyros and for completing EDL, so the charge FETs will be off and the discharge FETs will be on. Pyro firing cards will be powered on and the pyro bus will be armed. Cruise stage devices will be powered off, and the flight software will stop talking to the cruise PAMs, all in preparation for cruise stage set. The first set of pyros that we'll fire at this time will be the HRS vent pyros, and that will happen at 10:11 local time, so approximately 2 minutes after starting that anchor. 2 minutes following that, at 10:13 local time, we'll begin our preparations for cruise stage separation, where the communication system will be configured for X-band tones. So the following actions will be reported by the EDL ops via tones, where we'll initiate the descent stage thermal batteries, again via pyros, open up the power dead phase relays between the cruise stage descent and the rover, fire the PV1 and 2 pyros that enable the descent stage prop system. Following that, we'll do cruise stage separation by executing the pyro sequence that performs that. And from that point on, EDL ops will take over.
Okay, copy. We'll be on tones and EDL ops. Let's hear commentary on what we can expect to see from that point forward.
Okay, I'm just going to go over what we'll expect to see in real time. We have other data from other sources after landing, but I'll just go with what we see right now.
That's fine.
At about 11.5 minutes before entry, which is about 1.5 minutes before cruise stage set, that's when we'll lose telemetry and switch to tones. All we'll have is tones for the next 13 minutes or so. There may be a brief interruption in those tones around cruise stage separation, as the cruise stage may block the transmission of those tones from the spacecraft. About a minute or two, minute and a half to 2 minutes or so past entry, we'll begin to pick up telemetry again through UHF, through Mars Odyssey. We should begin picking up that bent pipe first, kind of ratty. We'll get, I think, sporadic coverage at first as we cross the received power threshold. It's an 8 kilobit per second stream, but remember, there's only 500 bits per second allocated to EH&A, and most of that will go to prop and thermal. So don't expect to see too much on your consoles. The vast majority of the stream is committed to EDL-specific data, which you'll see pop up in the EDL telemetry visualization and in the EDL perspectives. Note that there are many expected outages. First around acquisition when it's kind of ratty, then again around parachute deploy when we have high dynamic events. Also, we have times when we turn off the transmitter, times like backshell separation and rover separation, where we should expect to see outages. Odyssey requires a lock for us to have telemetry, so those outages may be prolonged until we relock up again. We will lose tones about 5 minutes after entry, somewhere around the time of heat shield separation or shortly thereafter. That occurs because Earth is setting from the spacecraft view. The relay UHF stream will continue all the way until touchdown plus 5 to 7 minutes or so. Remember, our touchdown time is variable by around plus or minus a minute, so the post-landing coverage time varies as well, and also depends a little bit on how close we are to the mound. The first replay of the EDL data collected by Odyssey will be around 0710 ERT. Shouldn't have any new content, but might be useful if there are any hiccups on the ground side during EDL.
Flight Telecom.
Okay, copy EDL comm and flight telecom.
Yeah, Flight, we have reacquired. We've dropped a two-way, and we've reacquired in one way.
Okay, copy one way, and that also is commensurate with the conclusion of our last EDL comm window shortly before that. So we are no longer getting packetized data at this time. All right, and our next anchor is the EDL start anchor.
Don't mess around.
At 0444. So standing by for about 5 minutes for that anchor to commence. And subsystems will be.
We're about 45 minutes from entry. We're getting ready for the EDL start anchor in a few minutes. At that time, we'll enter what's called the EDL main mode, where the vehicle is going to do a whole bunch of things that will prepare us for EDL. Telecom has just confirmed that we've turned off the transmitter and that the vehicle is now sending back data in one way. So we're no longer two-way communications with Curiosity. So she's just talking to us. We're not talking to her anymore. We just conducted a couple of briefings to inform the flight team of what to expect over the next 45 minutes to an hour or so, both from what activities they're seeing, what monitors will trip on their stations, kind of alarms that might go off that are expected. and then also what to expect from an EDL-COM perspective in terms of what data we will actually get back in real time. So the team is prepared. They've heard this briefing a couple times. We just want to make sure that everyone remembers.
All right, we are about 40 minutes past the hour. We are less than an hour away from Curiosity's entry into the Martian atmosphere. That takes place at about 10:24 p.m. Pacific time. And what will that be like? Well, engineers here at JPL call it 7 minutes of terror, and here's why.
When people look at it, it looks crazy. That's a very natural thing. Sometimes when we look at it, it looks crazy. It is the result of reasoned engineering thought, but it still looks crazy. From the top of the atmosphere down to the surface, it takes us 7 minutes. It takes 14 minutes or so for the signal from the spacecraft to make it to Earth. That's how far Mars is away from us. So when we first get word that we've touched the top of the atmosphere, the vehicle has been alive or dead on the surface for at least 7 minutes.
Entry, descent, and landing, also known as EDL, is referred to as the 7 minutes of terror because we've got literally 7 minutes to get from the top of the atmosphere to the surface of Mars, going from 13,000 miles an hour to 0 in perfect sequence, perfect choreography, perfect timing, and the computer has to do it all by itself with no help from the ground. If any one thing doesn't work just right, it's game over.
We slam into the atmosphere and develop so much aerodynamic drag. Our heat shield, it heats up and it glows like the surface of the sun. 1,600 degrees.
During entry, the vehicle is not only slowing down violently through the atmosphere, but also we are guiding it like an airplane to be able to land in a very narrow, constrained space. This is one of the biggest challenges that we're facing, and one that we have never attempted on Mars.
Mars is actually really hard to slow down because it has just enough atmosphere that you have to deal with it. Otherwise, it will destroy your spacecraft. On the other hand, it doesn't have enough atmosphere to finish the job. We're still going about 1,000 miles an hour. So at that point, we use a parachute.
The parachute is the largest and strongest supersonic parachute that we've ever built to date. It has to be able to withstand 65,000 pounds of force, even though the parachute itself only weighs about 100 pounds.
When it opens up that fast, it's a neck-snapping 9 Gs.
At that point, we have to get that heat shield off. It's like a big lens cap blocking our view of the ground to the radar. The radar has to take just the right altitude and velocity measurements at just the right time, or the rest of the landing sequence won't work.
This big, huge parachute that we've got, it'll only slow us down to about 200 miles an hour. And that's not slow enough to land. So we have no choice, but we've got to cut it off and then come down in rockets. Once we turn those rocket motors on, if we don't do something, we're just going to smack right back into the parachute. So the first thing we do is make this really radical divert maneuver. We fly off to the side.
Diverting away from the parachute, killing our horizontal velocity and our vertical velocity, getting the rover moving straight up and down so it can look at the surface with its radar and see where we're going to land. And we head straight down to the bottom of a crater, right beside a 6-kilometer high mountain.
We can't get those rocket engines too close to the ground, because if we were to descend propulsively with our engines all the way to the ground, we would essentially create this massive dust cloud. That dust cloud could then go and land on the rover. It could damage mechanisms and it could damage instruments. So the way we solve that problem is by using the Skycram maneuver.
20 meters above the surface, we have to lower the rover below us on a tether that's 21 feet long, and then gently deposit it on its wheels on the surface.
As the rover touches down and is now on the ground, the descent stage is in a collision course with the rover. We must cut the bridle immediately and fly the descent stage to a safe distance from the rover.
That video was released about 5 weeks ago and immediately went viral. On YouTube alone, it has had over 2 million downloads. The video lays out the many things that have to go right in order to land. And if one thing goes wrong, the whole mission might be lost. With us right now is Adam Stelzner. He is the lead for Entry, Descent, and Landing. And one of the things that folks probably should be aware of are the innovations that came out of having to land such a large rover on Mars. And I thought this would be a good time to talk about them.
Great. Well, Gaia, there are two big things that we do in EDL that are sort of new for Mars. The first, when we're entering, this is a model of the entry capsule. When we enter the Martian atmosphere, usually we would have come in and just sort of hit the atmosphere squarely. But this time we have some extra weight on one side of the spacecraft, and that makes it fly at an angle of attack. And that angle of attack develops lift. And then we take that lift and we steer it back and forth, up and down, to steer our way through the atmosphere. What this allows us to do is it takes an uncertainty that we would have experienced in the landing footprint from hundreds of kilometers, at least 100 kilometers, and is able to shrink it down to 20 kilometers. This is something we need to do to land inside Gale Crater.
In that smaller ellipse.
In that smaller ellipse.
So you're able to slow yourself down. If the atmosphere is a certain way, you need to slow yourself down more or less.
That's right. If it had been a warm day, we might have a problem with flying too long. If it had been a cold day and the atmosphere were dense, we might slow down too fast and end up short. So this allows us to adjust for that atmospheric variation and adjust for variables at the entry point if we aren't navigated to the exact correct entry point.
All right. Innovation number 2.
Innovation number 2 is the sky crane. Everybody notices that. It looks a little bit unusual. The sky crane really is composed of 2 pieces. We've got the rover and the descent stage. And 20 meters above the surface, these 2 things separate, and the descent stage and the rover together, connected by cables not shown here, slowly make their way down until the weight of the rover is taken up by the Martian terrain. When that's happened, the descent stage recognizes that the rover is no longer being held by it, cuts itself free, and flies away to a safe distance.
And that's the way we want to see it later tonight.
Flying away to a safe distance and leaving Curiosity here with her wheels down on the surface, ready to begin her surface mission.
All right. Well, thanks for walking us through it. I know you are anxious to get back into that control room. So let's go back to Alan Chen right now.
Okay, we've just entered the EDL main mode. The vehicle's making irreversible preparations for EDL. There's no going back at this time. Cruise fault protection systems have been disabled. Those are the systems that kept us from doing things that we wouldn't want to do during cruise, things that wouldn't be safe. During EDL, we're about to do a whole lot of things that would be considered unsafe during cruise. It's also making some changes to the telecom system as well. to prepare to send the EDL real-time data that we'd like to send. So far so good. Everything looks nominal. The flight director will conduct a short poll to assess the spacecraft readiness upon completion of the actions. Sounds like he might have already. I might have missed it.
We're going to do a subsystem poll.
Nope, we're going to walk through the subsystems to make sure that we're happy at the completion of transition to EDL main. So we'll listen in for that.
And activity lead flight, let's go ahead and record telemetry.
I'll read it off to you.
GDS flight.
Go ahead, flight.
Yeah, could you come have a look at the missions workstation, please?
Copy that.
Okay, at this time, the subsystems are taking a look at the data that's come down after these activities have been completed. They're just trying to make sure that everything's okay. Flight director will conduct a poll of all those subsystems to make sure that everything's going well. But so far, everything looks pretty good, and we'll check in very shortly with them.
Finally,
Okay, fly EDL, if you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, so on step 715.6, the SCED time for the current anchor is 4:30:45.688. That was for pre-it.
Sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
226 is fine.
Copy.
What's
04
the yellow to purple?
30 45
I think that's 226.
decimal 688.
Okay, copy that.
For step 715.8, the next anchor time is 04 52 45 decimal 700.
Copy.
And then we can verify EVRs from steps 715.10
At this time, the activity lead is
through
verifying
715.34.
the actions that were completed during EDL main and going over when the next expected actions are.
We did verify command no op in our EDL 200 sequence, so that executed successfully. So that's step 715.36. And in step 715.38, our spacecraft mode is indeed EDL main.
You may be able to see the flight director of mission and EDL activity lead checking off these steps and procedure. Just want to make sure that we get everything.
715.46, we did see all EDL devices marked healthy. For 715.47, we verified that we're in Windows disabled mode. And for 715.48, we verified that EVR.
Okay, copy. That confirms EDL start anchor activities are complete. Let's do a quick subsystem poll. Deltas only systems.
Flight systems changed the spacecraft mode. It's now EDL main. The new CBM background ID is EDL reserve TWNC. In terms of changes to the hardware configuration, the backup REPA is powered on, and the crew stage cap heads are now powered off, and otherwise systems is nominal.
Copy that. Power.
Flight power, significant changes on the power configuration. As mentioned by systems, REPA Bravo is now on. We saw an increase in current of about 300 milliamps for that. Cat bed heaters on the crew stage have been turned off. Power subsystem is nominal otherwise.
Copy. Thermal.
Flight, this is thermal. The Marty heater has been turned off as expected for EDL main. The only other state change for thermal is that soak back from the DRCS cap beds into the valves continues. The temperature on the warmest DRCS valve is about 34°C, which is just a couple degrees above the max set points.
Okay, copy. Prop.
Flight, this is Prop. We are nominal on the descent stage and cruise stage propulsion systems. The only change across EDL start anchor is the turn off of B-side cat bed heaters as expected.
Roger. Avionics.
Flight avionics, there's no change in the avionics state, and we're still green across the board. Second Chance contingency software is now armed and ready to take over in the event of a prime computer reset.
Roger. Flight software.
Flight software is nominal. There is no change in flight software execution state across the EDL start anchor, and all flight software metrics are still per predict.
Copy. Fault.
Our only change is that all our system fault protection responses are now disabled.
Roger. Data management.
And TMX is nominal. The only change is we're now receiving only real-time data products.
227 OD.
Copy that. Telecom.
Telecom is nominal. The only change is the uplink transmitter has been turned off. Therefore, the uplink carrier lock is unlocked. We are in one-way non-coherent, and the coherency is disabled. And also the ranging is disabled on the SDST.
Roger. ACS.
ACS remains unchanged over the last anchor, and currently Mars is 38 degrees field of view.
Getting very big in the window. EDL activity lead. Anything else to add?
Nothing else to add, Flight.
Copy. Mission?
Nothing else, Flight.
Okay, copy. That completes our post-anchor
Everything is good. Post-transition to EL main, everything looks great.
EDL phase lead, I believe has something to say.
Thank you, Flight.
Okay.
Thank you, Flight. I'd just like to thank the cruise team for bringing us over 350 million miles, 2 unplanned nav filter parameter changes, and 1 heck of a lot of professionalism and dotting of the I's and crossing of the T's. Curiosity is in fantastic shape to perform entry, descent, and landing, and she's there because you guys got her here. So thank you very much, and good luck. See you on the other side on Mars.
Roger. Thank you, EDL phase lead. And mission?
Yeah, this is Mission. On behalf of Brian and me and
And joining us now is John Grunsfeld. Dr. Grunsfeld is a physicist in charge of all of science projects at NASA. He's also a former astronaut who flew on 5 shuttle missions and made especially out of spacewalks to refurbish the Hubble on 3 of those. And Dr. Grunsfeld is here with us now. And here's your honorary bottle of peanuts. Good luck, peanuts, for today's mission.
Yep, we're going to need these.
Yes, we will. So let's talk a little bit about this mission and how does going to Mars again, why is that so important to NASA, and why do we need to go back to Mars?
Well, Mars has a very special place in our solar system as the closest analog to Earth. And so there's a couple of different ways. One is the science answer, which is because it's close analog, especially going to Gale Crater, we can understand the history of Mars, and I'm sure John Grotzinger has told us all about this, as if we were going down into the Grand Canyon and measuring, the geologic history. So we can compare the Earth to Mars at the same time as the solar system formed, as these planets formed. And of course, to answer the really important question, which is a human question, are we alone in the universe? And so, although the Curiosity rover isn't designed to look for life, it's look for signs of past habitability, and this will give us that answer. But it's one other thing is, we live in a solar system of riches. Jupiter, Saturn, the moons, the Earth, of course. Mars is the only place where someday, humans could live on a planet kind of like Earth. And so it gives us the vision of what might be the future.
So it's putting all the pieces together, and this is one of those pieces to build ourselves up to the next one, the bigger one.
That's right, the bigger one.
So we're going to take a break and tell you a little bit about the peanuts. And I don't know if you've seen what's going on in our control room here as well as in the MSA.
Well, I hear lots of munching.
There's a lot of munching, and we're going to let you partake here.
Thank you.
This is a tradition here at JPL. It goes way back to the Ranger days. And what had happened was we had 6 missions. They all failed, but we kept on trying and kept on trying. And then Ranger 7 did it. It was able to achieve what it was meant to do at the moon. And somebody was eating peanuts at that time. And somebody figured those must be good luck. So since then, on every mission, we dare mighty things by munching peanuts.
Yep. And of course, Ranger 7 set us up for Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin
That's right.
to land on the moon.
That's right.
In the same way, I think Curiosity is going to set us up for a time where women and men in the not too distant future will land on the surface of Mars, and they'll be astrobiologists and geologists, and they'll be able to build on Curiosity's mission.
And you are a physicist, so what are you most looking forward to that Curiosity will discover?
The lessons from Hubble are that when Curiosity is roving and sending the data back to scientists on Earth, the biggest discovery is probably not going to be the one that is, some particular molecule that we're looking for in the rocks or a particular mineral. It's going to be something that nobody's ever thought of. It's going to be the real discovery space. And that's what I think Curiosity will give us.
So you don't even know what it might be?
Nobody knows what it'll be. And Mars has a history of surprising us that way.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank
I'll
you.
let you go back in the control room.
Okay.
This
Go
is a big
Curiosity.
night. Go Curiosity.
Thank you.
And if you just joined us late, you're watching live coverage of the landing of the Curiosity rover on Mars from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California. JPL is managed by the California Institute of Technology on behalf of NASA, and we will be back in a moment with Rob Manning, but we'll take a break first.
Okay, we're only 22 minutes to entry. Things are continuing to go well. You might have seen here that we've passed out the traditional peanuts. We need all the good luck we can get here. But things are continuing to look very good. We're right where we expect to be, and everything is going fine on the spacecraft. Curiosity is reporting things are going fine. Right now we're standing by for for Odyssey to tell us that they'll be around to broadcast what's going on for us during EDL, to relay that telemetry we get from Curiosity. So we're waiting for them to come back to Earth, to talking to Earth, and hopefully we'll be able to see all the way to the ground and past with Odyssey.
12 minutes. Now would have been better. Are you telling this guy to tell me? We're going to do nicknames for you? I'll never live that one. No? We might have made somebody else.
We are 3 minutes past the top of the hour, and with us right now is Rob Manning. He is the chief engineer for the entire Mars Science Laboratory mission. And everybody is still very conscious of this communications issue, whether or not we will know for sure if Curiosity landed okay, and we'll know it.
Yeah. Yes, well, we do have a fantastic, excuse me, I'm just finishing the peanuts.
He's eating peanuts. Sorry.
We have a fantastic array. We've got three spacecraft. Odyssey spacecraft flying overhead, Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter is flying overhead. We even have Mars Express, European's Mars Express overhead, as well as these tones that we're sending back to Earth directly. So I think we have a video.
We have a video, and maybe you can kind of walk people through it
to
understand this. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so as MSL approaches the atmosphere, we'll first have a straight shot of Earth looking backwards from behind us. Earth is to the left of that view. The great thing is, as it's coming in, we have two orbiters. You'll see them come into view in just a second. First, MRO from the south working their way north, and this is about the time that MRO is recording information that MSL is sending out to the world. At the same time, Odyssey, which is coming in from the top part of the view, is listening to what MSL is doing. And right now, MSL is sending information through Odyssey, and Odyssey is repeating that information straight back to Earth. And that's what we're seeing in this room tonight.
And you see where Odyssey is, where it is on the horizon, and how far it is, and that's one of the reasons why we have a very narrow window when we can.
This is a pretty tricky dance. It's been very well choreographed. People like Brian Schratz have done a fantastic job of making sure that all the coordination is happening. But it's it's easy for this not to work. One of the problems is the antenna is moving around. It gets blocked by equipment as it falls apart. The vehicle comes apart. It is something that you can't rely on in a guaranteed sort of way. So if the signal stops, we stop getting signal, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything wrong.
So we will know fairly soon in the next several minutes whether or not Odyssey's move did indeed work, and that it will be in position for us to be able to hear.
That's right. Odyssey had to get into position. It had to stow its antenna, the one that goes back to Earth, turn the vehicle so it's pointing at our vehicle, and then restow the antenna and start transmitting. So what it hears from the rover, it can repeat back to Earth. But that process means that it had to stop talking to the Deep Space Network for a while while it was doing that. And that's happening right about now.
So the point is that people shouldn't get too excited if we don't hear from the rover
That's
landing?
right. We've had problems with communications all along. I mean, in fact, one of the reasons we put so much effort into this is so that if we do have a real problem, we can use this information to deduce what may have gone wrong. And so that's why this information is so essential. But if we don't get it and we land safely, that's still okay too, even though it's just nerve-wracking.
Okay, so Rob, we're going to keep you here while we go through entry, descent, and landing. He'll be there to give us his wise knowledge and all of this. But meantime, let's go back into the MSA and get ready for entry, descent, and landing.
Things are looking pretty good right now. I'm getting a report right now from Odyssey that they're in position. They're going to be there for us for EDL. So they have reacquired to the Earth, and we're good to go. So we will have coverage throughout EDL, through a little bit from about a minute and a half after entry, through touchdown, and then some. So hopefully we'll see all the way to the bottom and see a successful landing. Okay. The EDL activity lead is about to narrate what's going on in the spacecraft. We're entering the EDL prep anchor. That's a EDL flight software mode, so let's listen in.
You can see that the nav filter is dropping to the correct state. IVP has stopped, and the EDL prep anchor is complete.
Okay, copy that.
We're about 3 minutes from the HRSN anchor action starting.
The EDL activity lead has told us that we've turned off the attitude control system, the cruise attitude control system. We don't need it anymore. We're standing by for heat rejection system vent. That's the coolant that's been keeping us cool through all of cruise. We'll vent that ahead of cutting the cruise stage. So we're coming up on cruise stage separation.
Go ahead, Phase.
Anytime you guys want to shoot me any results from Ms. Sims to me via email, I guess is the way we're going to go now, because the screens are going to transition into having your beautiful faces on it instead of your estimates from the
flight EDL. The EDL HRSN actions have begun. Roger.
Phase, we should have our EDL viz on there when we get UHF data.
Roger. I'm still open for receiving best estimates as they come in on the landing location off of the time point correlation.
Copy, I understand, and we are on it. You will get it in the usual communication window.
Flight EDL. The expected warnings for the Electra hail mode are received. Copy.
The EDL team is running some final simulations to show where we think we're going to end up based on the latest navigation data. Things continue to look good. It puts us right in the middle of the ellipse.
Okay, flight, we can confirm the BCB actions have been commanded, and through EHA we can confirm that the discharge vents are now in manual discharge.
The vehicle's power changes in preparation for cruise stage separation. It's going to cut loose the cruise stage and all that solar array that's been powering us through all of cruise.
Pyro firing card are now powered on.
Go ahead, EDLCOM. So we're ready to switch the displays over to the 1010 marker, which will show EDL data manual tones. Are you ready? Standby 1. Yes, we are ready. Copy that. All right.
And we can confirm through EHA now that the BCBs are in manual charge mode.
Copy. BCBs in manual charge.
We've also completed enabling the pyros commands. We are in the process of powering off the cruise stage hardware. And we can verify through telemetry that the cruise stage hardware is powering off.
Yeah, the cruise stage is turned off.
Flight, Pyrobus is armed.
Copy. Thank you, Pyro.
And enabled.
Pyroelectronics that are used to activate many of the devices that are going to be used to cut the cruise stage, and a lot of the separation events during EDL have been armed. Nav is confirming that we are starting venting. HRS vent has started.
And flight EDL, we're firing our first pyros to vent the HRS system. The medley RTDP warnings are expected.
The navigation team can see that the fluid coming out of that heat rejection system is actually pushing the vehicle a little bit, as expected. So we can confirm that the vent is actually happening.
Odyssey Com, Odyssey Mission Manager on EDL Ops.
EDLCOM, this is Dynamics on EDL Ops.
Go ahead, Dynamics.
Is our display configured correctly for you in the MSA?
Affirmative. I see it. Waiting for X-band tones. Very nice picture. And we're expecting tone start at 5:13:17 UTC.
Copy.
We're under 2 minutes from cruise stage separation.
Odyssey Com, Odyssey Mission Manager on EDL Ops.
Odyssey Mission Manager, this is EDL Ops on EDL Ops.
Odyssey has completed its salute of the EDLCOM attitude. All systems are nominal. Odyssey is go for EDLCOM support.
Great to hear from you. Thank you very much.
We have a cruise stage step about to happen.
For all of EDL, so we will have their coverage. Things are looking good for them, and they're looking good for us. We're about 1 minute to cruise stage separation.
Tones. We're seeing the transition to tones now. The system should be configured shortly. And we're seeing carrier only.
The vehicle's changing to tones at this time. So we're switching from telemetry. We've lost telemetry, and we're going to move to just tones.
EDA acquisition. And we're seeing heartbeat.
We are receiving heartbeat tones at this time.
Affirmative, we're seeing the expected 2 seconds of heartbeat, followed by the 10-second carrier pulse.
Nav can see something that could be consistent with cruise stage separation in the Doppler.
And we're showing a good strong signal, higher than expected carrier power, and continuing to see heartbeats. EDLCOM tones look good.
We are receiving heartbeat tones at this time. Things are looking good. We see that we are priming the entry RCS thrusters. Cruise stage separation. In about 1 minute, Curiosity's EDL software will wake up and begin final preparations for entry. The first action it'll take is to fire some warm-up pulses to get the entry RCS thrusters going. The pulses will ensure the spacecraft will get the thrust that we want when it's counting on it.
We did see the heartbeat signal drop low for a second as the signal passed by the donut of the cruise stage.
We are seeing RCS warm up.
Flight, this is enough.
Yeah, flight, go ahead.
Could you check with the ACE whether we should be seeing one-way data from the station?
ACE, did you copy?
Curiosity is reporting that it is spinning down and turning to entry.
Flight HS, we've been one way for a while now.
Roger that.
But currently we're just seeing the tones, obviously.
Roger.
The vehicle is reporting that it has completed its turn to entry and spin down, and it has separated the cruise balance mass devices. At this time, the vehicle's just sending heartbeat tones, just as we expect. It should be quiet for the next several minutes, hopefully. We are about 7 minutes to entry. At this time, Mars is actually pulling Curiosity in, and we're speeding up. We should be traveling around 5.4 kilometers per second on our way to about 5.9.
So, Rob, what are your thoughts at this point?
Well, I'm very
variation
excited.
in the pattern, antenna pattern is
This is
reflected
the
in the variation.
this is the part that really is entry. This is where we're getting to the top of the atmosphere. The great thing is that the propulsion system's shown to be working. We're turning the vehicle. It looks like the vehicle is going to be doing its entry job very well, and I'm very excited about that. Everything is going very well.
Right.
So make sure everyone keeps their eyes on the television, because we might actually get some pictures if all goes well. And we might be murky and covered with dust when we first land, but we might get some pictures today.
Wow, at landing.
Just a few minutes after landing.
Excellent. Okay, we're standing by.
Thank you.
We're just under 6 minutes to entry. We're continuing to wait for entry interface. The spacecraft is continuing to send heartbeat tones, telling us that everything is okay and there's nothing significant to report. This is as expected. It should be quiet for a little while, at least. We're now 5 minutes to entry. Continuing to receive heartbeat tones. Everything is good. At this time, Curiosity should be up to about 5.5 kilometers per second.
So what's taking place now?
So right now the vehicle is flying through space. It's actually in deep space still. In fact, not until after we hit the entry point will we actually begin to feel the force of the atmosphere gradually building on that heat shield. So really it's still a spacecraft. It hasn't actually become an aircraft. But we've checked out its rockets. It's actually used to turn the vehicle. It's turned to the right attitude, and that means it's ready to go. And as soon as we start feeling the atmosphere, it'll start doing its role to get to the turn as part of the guidance that it does. It starts off with a right bank, and eventually will make a left bank, and then make another right bank as it makes its way to the landing site.
So it's a capsule right now.
It's a
headed
capsule. It's just a bare capsule, nothing looking out. Just the radios is the only thing that's sticking out, and that's what we're getting. We're getting tones from that vehicle right this second.
Okay.
Now we're not getting Odyssey data yet. That doesn't happen until a little while later.
After parachute.
Actually, just after entry, about the time before parachute, just before parachute opens up.
Okay.
EDL phase dynamics.
Did that work out?
Go ahead, dynamics.
Just FYI, OD227 run out looks like missed distance of 232 meters. Over.
232 meters?
That's correct. Less than the divert.
Roger.
We can expect a brief signal dropout when we switch to the TLJ.
We're at 3 minutes to entry. At this time, MRO should begin picking us up. But remember, we won't get that data for a while. It's got to store it and then send it back down here for us to decode. We're still seeing heartbeat tones. Everything looks good. The spacecraft should be up to 5.6 kilometers per second.
Right on top of 227. See that?
2 minutes to entry.
The EDL team is reporting that the latest runouts, which is using the latest nav, our best guess of where we are, show us that the best guess of our landing target location is about 232 meters from the landing target. So looking good so far. We're continuing to receive heartbeat tones. Everything looks good. We're about 90 seconds from entry.
Flight dynamics, EDL phase.
Go ahead, phase.
That last solution was with 227 or OD228?
That is OD227.
Thank you. You guys have now OD228 in your possession?
There will be no 228 for us, phase.
That's just fine because the difference is
1 minute to entry.
within spitting distance.
Affirmative.
The vehicle will switch antennas shortly. We'll have a short dropout when that occurs in the tones, switching to a tilted antenna that will be used through entry.
Right,
30 seconds to entry.
As we come up on entry, we'll expect a 2 or 3 second outage in the X-band signal as we switch from the ELGA to the TLJ.
We're switching to the TLJ. Signals dropped. Minutes.
We just saw the signal drop. That indicates we changed antennas.
We're seeing heartbeat tones again after the switch. Things are looking good. We got tones back again. Coming up on entry. Vehicle reports entry interface. At this time, it'll begin pressurizing the propulsion system to increase the thrust of the system. We'll use that for all the maneuvering in the atmosphere we're about to do.
Back to heartbeat tones.
We are standing by for guided start and the start of guided entry.
Nav can see the entry in the atmosphere in the Doppler.
We are beginning to feel the atmosphere as we go in here. The vehicle has just reported via tones that it has started guided entry. At this time, the vehicle is beginning to steer its way to the target. It is starting its first bank reversal. First bank reversal complete. We have seen peak deceleration. We've passed through peak heating and peak deceleration. It is reporting that we are seeing Gs on the order of 11 to 12 Earth Gs.
Flight GDSA.
GDSA flight go.
We are processing data from Odyssey.
Bank reversal 2 is starting. We are now getting telemetry from Odyssey. All right. Bank reversal 2 complete.
Copy, bank reversal 2 complete.
Thanks.
Standby flight. We have a connection, but we actually do not have any data yet.
Copy.
We can expect some intermittent contact at this time as the signal gets increases to respectable levels.
There we go. We are now seeing
and we have our CDP.
Okay, copy.
And visualization is updated.
We have entered heading alignment.
There we go.
At this time, Curiosity is no longer trying to control how far it's flying downrange and is just heading directly for the target.
End of range control, air used minus 1.2 kilometers.
Minus 1.2.
1.2.
The EL team is reporting that that things look pretty good at the end of range control. We have converged a lot of the error, and we should be heading toward the target.
Flight EDL, TDS warning is okay.
Copy.
Power on.
We are seeing a tone from indicating that we have seen heating on the heat shield through the MEB instrument. Everything looks fine. This is as expected. During the setting alignment phase, we're flying almost horizontally like a plane. We're going about Mach 2.4 at an altitude of 17 kilometers or so.
Way better.
Vehicle's reporting heartbeat tones again, indicating that everything is fine during heading alignments. We are standing by for straighten up and fly right and parachute deploy. Vehicle's continuing to decelerate. We're down to about Mach 2. As a reminder, we should have parachute deploy around Mach 1.7. We're at 15 kilometers altitude.
We've begun entry balance mass jettison. The predicted
mid-distance
downrange is 1.597 kilometers.
EDL Ops, Odyssey Systems on EDL Ops.
Parachute deploy. Parachute. Thrusters have been re-enabled. We will control our attitude on shoot. We are decelerating.
Wrist mode under
our 10 kilometers decelerating and descending. We are at 150 meters per second.
Dynamics phase. Come back again with wrist mode dynamics.
Wrist mode is nominal.
We are 9 kilometers and descending.
Active. Valid range.
That filter converged with a velocity correction of 0.7 meters a second.
We've acquired the ground with the radar.
An altitude of 8 kilometers.
Speed chill has separated. We've found the ground.
Expand tones due to Earth occultation as expected.
We're standing by to prime the Emily engines in preparation for powered flight. We're down to 90 meters per second at an altitude of 6.5 kilometers and descending.
Flight EDL, we got some tweeter warnings. It is in battle short mode, so it should power through them.
Direct to Earth communications at this time. We may have lost it already. We're down to 86 meters per second at an altitude of 4 kilometers and descending. We've lost tones from Earth at this time. This is expected. We're continuing on Odyssey telemetry.
Ground solution equals minus 10.8 meters, vertical velocity of minus 82.8 meters per second.
Start enabled, standing by for backshell separation.
Signal to Odyssey is still strong.
We are in powered flight. We're at altitude of 1 kilometer descending, about 70 meters per second.
Signal to Odyssey remains
down to 50 meters per second, 500 meters in altitude. Standing by for sky crane.
Constant velocity accordion nominal. Altitude error 5.9 meters.
We found a nice flat place. We're coming in ready for sky crane. Down to 10 meters per second, 40 meters altitude. Sky crane has started. Descending at about 0.75 meters per second as expected. Expecting bridle cut shortly.
Signal to Odyssey remains strong.
Tango Delta nominal.
Yep. EDLCOM configured.
Rim stable.
UHF telemetry.
Rim stable.
UHF is good.
Touchdown confirmed. We're safe on Mars.
Time to see where our curiosity will take us. At this time, flyaway should be complete. Descent stage is at a safe distance. We are continuing to receive telemetry from Curiosity. We're safe.
Getting data from the surface of Mars.
ASCAM sequence is kicked off, waiting for images.
Heads up, folks. EDL ops, the signal to Odyssey remains strong.
Flight EDL images are starting to come down.
We're beginning to get images.
We got images
from Odyssey.
coming down, folks.
EDLCOM configure stand by for images. Reader has
Seeing
cam
thumbnails coming down.
Odyssey data is still strong.
Odyssey data is very strong.
Odyssey is nice and high in the sky. At this time, we're standing by for images.
Thumbnails are complete.
We got thumbnails.
Whole image complete. Whole image complete.
the wheel. It's the wheel.
We can see a wheel image. We are wheels down on Mars.
Oh my God. We'll do a proper hug on the other side.
Keep watching, guys. Keep watching the screen. There's more stuff. Any minute now. No. 2:56.
Okay, okay. So here we are. We're going to start. Go ahead.
Okay.
So we have landed out at the time we thought we would, and we now have our first image.
We have our first image. We've got us a 64 by 64 thumbnail. The front, a rear has-cam image. You can see the shadow there. I'm not sure exactly which our orientation is of the vehicle, but we're looking through it. Now, I think in just a few minutes we might get even a larger 256 frame pixel image of that same end. So we're looking at the shadow. See, the horizon is actually in the distance. You can't really tell that. So we're looking actually at the shadow of this late afternoon sun.
So these are the rear has cams.
These are the rear has cams.
And it does have a dust cover on it.
It does have a dust cover, but it's the cover is a problem. It's the fact there's dust in the air because we've just blown dust all over the place with our descent engines.
Fantastic. So there could be more.
There could be more. If we wait, we might get. Oh yes!
Ah!
This is the high res. This is the 256 by 256 image. This is a higher resolution. You're seeing dust particles on the window. You can see the horizon there in the background, and there is the wheel of the rover safely on the surface of Mars. I can't believe it. This is unbelievable. We might get another one of these, and if we're lucky, before Odyssey goes away, we'll get 2 more of these same images going the other side of the vehicle, and also probably dusty. This is amazing.
So that is one of Curiosity's rover wheels
exactly.
On the surface of Mars.
Yes. Oh wow! Now we have another image coming down. This is a view looking the other direction. It's still being processed. You'll see it in just a second here. This is another thumbnail image.
Is that a shadow?
That's the shadow
of the rover.
Curiosity rover on the surface of Mars. Thank you.
The Odyssey transition is about to end. It's about to set below the peak of Mount Sharp very shortly. So this is about all the data we're going to get, but things look great.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
if anybody in the MSA is listening, you should check out our target location on this current fly-through. If anyone in the MSA is online, you should watch this fly-through.
All right, well, we are very pleased now to have with us the administrator of NASA, Charlie Bolden. Welcome and congratulations.
Well,
We're on
Thank
Mars
you.
again.
We're on Mars again, and I'll tell you, it's just absolutely incredible. It doesn't get any better than this.
What was it like for you? Were you on pins and needles just as much as we were?
I was a basket case in there. I was really on pins and needles, and you know, it was the irony was we were sitting there saying we know we're on the ground, we just don't know what kind of shape we're in. So to hear the calls come saying everything was all right, it was great.
And how about seeing the pictures?
This is, that's incredible, and it's a huge day for the nation. It's a huge day for all of our partners that have something on Curiosity, and it's a huge day for the American people. So, as I told people as we went around earlier tonight, everybody in the morning should be sticking their chest out saying, "That's my rover on Mars," because it belongs to all of us.
Well, that's what I'll be doing tomorrow morning.
Well, you should do that. You should do that. Yeah,
Well,
I tell you.
thank you so much for dropping by.
Thank you.
I know that
Thank you
you are
very
getting
much.
ready for a news conference.
We are.
We are so glad and so pleased you could join us.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks for carrying us through this whole thing and making the public able to see what's going on here. I've been watching you, and it's been great.
It's a good day.
It
All
is
right.
a great day.
In a moment, we will have Dr. Charles Alachi, but let's go back to the room for a bit.
Dynamics, this is Phase.
Okay, folks, we're on page 91 in the procedure.
Roger. Hold everybody there until we get together.
All right, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome with us President Obama's science advisor, John Holdren. Thanks for joining us. It was such a pleasure to have you join us for this big landing.
Well, I'm very happy to be here tonight. Very happy to have seen this incredible accomplishment with this Mars landing.
What does this landing mean for the nation?
Well, it's an enormous step forward in planetary exploration. Nobody has ever done anything like this. We are actually the only country that has landed surface landers on any other planet. But this lander is vastly bigger, vastly more capable, much more complicated to bring in. Many new technologies had to work in perfect succession and perfect synchronization for this to happen. It was an incredible performance by the Jet Propulsion Lab, by NASA, by the teams around the country who had contributed to this, and indeed partners from around the world.
So what does this mean? What future implications could we be seeing in this now that we've landed on Mars?
Well, this is by far the most capable device, set of instruments we've put up there for determining whether Mars ever could have supported life. And of course, the question of whether there was ever life on Mars is an enormously important scientific question, almost a philosophical question, relating to our place in the solar system and our place in the universe. So we stand to learn a tremendous amount from this Curiosity Mars Science Laboratory. It really is a portable science laboratory. It's going to do incredible things.
And with all science experiments, with all science, when you get some answers, it just leads to more questions.
It leads to more questions, and it's always the way of science, but it leads to ever more interesting questions and a larger body of knowledge from which those questions emerge. And we know that the space program has for decades been very important to the United States. It's been important economically. It's a driver of innovation with widespread applications, but it's also a source of inspiration to the next generation of young people who are going to become the scientists and the engineers and the technicians that ultimately will land people on Mars.
Right. These are the footsteps leading to that.
Absolutely.
Well, Dr. Holdren,
it's going to be crucial.
Thank you so much for joining us. I know everyone's excited. There will be a news conference at about 11:15 our time, Pacific time, and it's a good day, and thank you for being with us.
It's a great day. Thank you very much.
All right.
Just a second.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Roger, Dynamics, we're on MSL Ops.
Okay, Dynamics. Flight director's ready to copy.
We have a touchdown time of 10:14:39, which is in PDT. Sorry, I apologize for that. UTC is required in the poll, so you can do the conversion.
Stand by one. Got a little laughter on that.
Let's see, step 730.013. So we have a touchdown velocity vertical of negative 0.607398 meters per second. Step 14, touchdown velocity horizontal 0.044365 meters per second. Expected fuel remaining at flyaway. Sorry, Ben Toma, we have 140.6 kilograms. For step 16, we will need photo confirmation of descent stage location. Step 17, offset between rover z-axis and gravity vector of 4.37 degrees.
Yes.
And finally, in step 18, we have our navigated lat-lon calculation, which is negative 4.591817 degrees. Longitude of 137.440247 degrees, and that gives us a navigated range to target of 2.279.
All right, well, they are in the midst of the post-landing poll. Let's take a moment now to introduce you to JPL Director Dr. Charles Alachi. Dr. Alachi, you have experienced Mars landings before. They are all nail-biters, but this one had to have been one of the toughest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this was particularly so exciting, and things went so fast. But as I saw the parachute actually opened and we're slowing down, I told Charlie Bolden, we're halfway there. And then it was just so exciting. You know, it's like a movie.
So how does it feel to be back on Mars?
It feels fantastic. You know, at 9:15 earlier today, I went out, looked at Mars, which was setting. And I said, in an hour and 15 minutes, it's going to be different. You know, there is going to be the pre-Curiosity landing and the post-Curiosity landing. And this is exciting on behalf of all the world, NASA, the public. This is one of the most exciting things I've seen.
Absolutely. And what do you look forward to now?
Well, we're looking forward, now that we did this one, we're looking forward for the discoveries that this mission will make. We're looking forward for going again to Mars and continuing to go to Mars, going to Europa, go to all the planet. This is a mighty thing that our agency is doing for the American people.
A wonderful, mighty thing.
Absolutely.
Dr. Alachi, thank you
you
for joining us. I'm going to let you go so you can go to your news conference. Again, we are expecting a news conference at about 11:15 Pacific time. And for those of you who have been trying to go to the NASA websites, we do understand that all of them have gone down because all of you have been going to them, looking for the images and looking for this coverage. There is one available. We have a super of the one remaining website that is available. Let me read that to you. It's mars.jpl.nasa.gov/MSL/raw. This is where you can see the images that just came back from Mars. Let's go back to the room.
And Flight Systems, we do not have the expected value. We have it as a value of 1, which is autonomous.
And Flight EDL, the sequence was changed late to execute a little later, so we missed that.
Roger that. And power flight.
Go flight.
Yeah, steps 27 through 33.
Copy that. Power subsystem is currently nominal for step 27. For step 28, the channel power 4007 last data point reads 1.56 amps. For step 29, buzz voltage last data point was 32.18 volts, roughly 93% of state of charge. For step 30, battery 2 current, last data point read is 1.57 amps. Step 31, power 4018, voltage reads 32.2 volts. Step 32, Pyro 0120 reads 2491 ohms. Step 33, Pyro 1120 reads 259 ohms.
Roger, copy power. And thermal, can you please report on steps 19 through 26?
Roger that. Flight. For therm channel 0768, the REPA gas pressure, we have a pressure of 109.6 psia. For therm 0833, it's invalid data because it's the liquid channel on RPM B. For therm 2804, RTG1, we have a temperature of 142.1 C. For therm 2813, RTG2, we have a temperature of 127.6 C. For therm...
Just to confirm, 127.6, was that right?
Copy that. 127.6.
Well, we have good news. We are told that the website www.nasa.gov does have its images back, so several of the websites crashed because of all the people who are trying to see these first images from Mars from Curiosity. So once again, look at the screen. We do have the nasa.gov website back and also the JPL RAW website back up. Meantime, with me now is Lori Garver back again in the seat. So how's it feel for you? You went through the whole experience.
Well, we all did, right? We were joking that maybe Michael Phelps was the only one who could actually hold his breath that entire time. But there isn't anything more exciting. It's one of the reasons we do it. And I just congratulate the team. It's an amazing thing to have those pictures right now.
Could you believe that? To have them so soon and what you could see them in them.
I did not expect them to be as clear and good, to be able to see the definition of that. And to recognize what the team went through and the challenges that they have faced to do this and how successful they've been just so far. Let the science begin, right?
Let the science begin. Well, we do have a news conference in just a short time. Deputy Administrator Lori Garver, thank you for joining us, and it's a good day.
It is a great day for America, for the world,
Absolutely.
for our future, so thanks.
All right, thanks for being here. And we'll go back to the room, into the MSA.
730-002, can confirm the EVR DMCA received due CLF. I can confirm that MCFSW was receiving good DIMU packets via the MCFSW status, which read hex 1100. And also the absence of any warning EVRs indicating a problem with the DIMU. So as far as we can tell, DMCA was executing flyaway nominally.
Okay, copy that.
And your expected value of
Well, the flight team is almost done. They are in the post-landing poll, and this is to say that Curiosity is safely on the surface of Mars, and the post-landing poll is kind of a symbolic handing over the keys of the rover to the surface operations team. They are operating in another room from here, just a short distance away from the MSA, the cruise MSA, and that's where the TV crew and I will be heading for the 12:30 a.m. show, or the commentary for the next Mars Odyssey downlink, which will have possibly even more pictures. Coming up next, the post-EDL news briefing at 11:15 Pacific time, just a short time away. This has been live coverage of the landing of Curiosity from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California. JPL is managed by the California Institute of Technology on behalf of NASA. And again, you can continue to watch coverage. You can also see the images at www.nasa.gov, also our raw images. Meantime, I'm Gay Yee-Hel. Thanks for watching, and we're on Mars again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Live from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California, and on Mars, I want to present to you the team that has brought us back to Mars tonight. Come on, guys. I see them! There they are! Woo! There we go!
Awesome.
Over here, John. right, let's give them one more round of applause now that we've got them all up here. Thank you very much.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Mars. I mean, to NASA. About an hour and a half ago, I went outside and looked toward the west, and I saw Mars there, and I said, in an hour and a half, you are going to have a visitor. And the planet smiled, and I knew that we were going to have good luck. So with this, I want to introduce you our fearless leader, Charlie Bolden.
Boy, I tell you, Charles, thanks very much. First of all, just let me say thanks very much to the entire team and all the teams not here. Some of the teams in places like Canberra, Australia, and up in Goldstone, because the Deep Space Network was what made it possible for us to be getting all the data and everything. So, you know, but today, right now, the wheels of Curiosity have begun to blaze the trail for human footprints on Mars. Curiosity, the most sophisticated rover ever built, is now on the surface of the red planet, where it will seek to answer age-old questions about whether life ever existed there on Mars, or if the planet can sustain life in the future. This is an amazing achievement, made possible by a team of scientists and engineers from around the world, and led by the extraordinary men and women of NASA and our Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Nothing in robotic planetary exploration is harder, more technically challenging, or as risky as landing on the surface of Mars. And I know most of you are saying, how can he be saying that? It just looks so easy. Trust me. Historically, counting all the missions by all countries, the odds of success are about 40%. The recent U.S. record is better, with now 6 successful missions, including now 4 landings. And I'm going to stray from my script here for a moment, which is always dangerous, but tonight, and I'm probably not going to include all the countries, but tonight there are at least 4 countries, and I won't name them, who are on Mars. And they're on Mars because they went with the United States. So I know this may sound a little strange in this international environment, but I want everyone to understand what I say and what I mean when I say, you know, our leadership is going to make this world better. Tonight, as incredible as our feat was tonight, we just succeeded one more time in raising the bar even higher. New technologies never invented or attempted before were created for this incredible journey. Curiosity's final descent was dubbed 7 Minutes of Terror because in its 7-minute trip to the surface, it had to slow down from 13,000 miles an hour to 0. And I think you've heard this before. That's like driving 65 miles an hour on a freeway and coming to a complete stop in about 2.1 seconds. Hundreds of other things had to go just right, including a parachute slowdown at supersonic speed, 8 rocket engines to power a final descent and final soft landing by a new sky crane landing system. Curiosity will spend the next 2 years seeking answers to one of humanity's oldest questions, as it investigates whether conditions have favored development of microbial life on the red planet. President Obama has laid out a bold vision for sending humans to Mars, and today's landing marks a significant step toward achieving this goal. And now it's my pleasure to introduce to you a very dear friend of mine. He is the President's Science Advisor, the Director of the Office of Science and Technology Policy, and a guy who was sweating through this. And as he told me a little while ago, he thought he was going to throw up at one point. And he's probably mad because I told you that, but my friend, Dr. John Holdren.
I wanted to start by saying thank you for sharing that, Charlie. Well, today on Mars, history was made on Earth. The successful landing of Curiosity, which is, as Charlie has said, the most sophisticated roving laboratory ever sent to another planet, marks what is really an unprecedented technological tour de force. It will stand as an American point of pride far into the future. It's also just the latest example of a long-standing truth about the United States. that even the longest of odds are no match for America's unique blend of technical acumen and gutsy determination. And that's certainly for all of the folks at JPL, at Caltech, at NASA, and our partners whose instruments, as Charlie has pointed out, were on this lander. Big thanks are due to all of them. Our continued preeminence and progress in space and here on Earth in other domains such as biomedicine and healthcare, clean energy, national security, advanced manufacturing, all of this depends on our continuing commitment to science, technology, and innovation, and the passion for adventure that has driven us to explore new worlds. By sustaining our investments in basic research and exploration, we ensure that America will remain at the forefront of the scientific frontier. So I really want to personally congratulate, on behalf of myself, but also on behalf of my boss, President Obama, the team here at JPL at NASA and around the country that contributed to this spectacular achievement. I can only imagine what incredible data and new understandings are going to be uncovered in the coming days, months, and years because of this success. Landing the Mars Science Laboratory rover, Curiosity, on the surface of the red planet was by any measure the most challenging mission ever attempted in the history of robotic planetary exploration. And if anybody has been harboring doubts about the status of U.S. leadership in space, well, there's a 1-ton automobile-sized piece of American ingenuity on the, that is and it's sitting on the surface of Mars right now, and it should certainly put any such doubts to rest. President Obama has challenged America, as Administrator Bolden just said, to send humans to Mars in the 2030s. And Curiosity is going to provide critical information about the red planet and what our astronauts will find once they arrive. The administration is committed to a vibrant and coordinated strategy of Mars exploration and planetary exploration more generally, and continuing America's leadership here on Earth and throughout the solar system. So congratulations again, and long live American curiosity. Thank you.
Let me thank all of you one more time. John Holdren and I, unfortunately, have got to go boogie to go somewhere else. We're going to leave you in the very erstwhile hands of Charles Alachi and the technical team, and they've got a little bit more detailed stuff to tell you. So have a great night, and congratulations to all of you again.
Okay, guys, before we start, we have a new picture of Mars. Come on.
Here comes the rest of the EDL team, the Mars Curiosity team entering right now. They are quite happy.
So what is the order that you are doing?
We're going to have you sit back down and...
But somebody put a seat. Okay, I think we need to get... Okay, can we get everybody seated? Okay, can we get everybody? I need to take control of this thing. Okay, can we get... Yeah, can we have it stop people coming? Okay, can we stop, please? Can we get everybody seated? Okay, needless to say, there is a lot of excitement in this room. Okay, good night, good evening, everybody. Okay, can we get everybody, please? Can we get quiet, please? Please, everybody, can we get quiet? I'm sure all of you want to hear about how things went. Well, tonight was a great drama that was played. I felt like an adventure movie, but in reality, I kept telling myself, this is real. This is real, what's happening. And what a fantastic demonstration of what our nation and our agency, can do. I could only think of the words of Teddy Roosevelt as I was sitting there. It is far better to dare mighty things even though we might fail, than to stay in the twilight that knows neither victory nor defeat. And the team brought us victory, today. I can also only think about the Olympians. Here we had our team, which went to the Olympics. We were not sure we were going to win, but this team came back with the gold. So thank you, guys. We are so proud of you. And just think what an inspiration to the young people in the world. By watching what these young people and old people like me have accomplished, it's really inspiring. I just was talking to my daughter and she was crying, about it, how exciting this is, how inspirational. So we hope that the tens of millions of people who have been sharing this adventure with us will be the people who will be carrying the torch, and continuing our exploration of the solar system. And what a bargain that we got this mission for. This movie costed you less than $7 per American citizen. And look at the excitement that we have brought and the inspiration that we have brought. And tonight we just did the landing. Tomorrow we're going to start exploring Mars. And next week, and next month, and next year, we'll be bringing new discovery every day, every week to all of you. And we are going to continue not only exploring Mars, but exploring the solar system and exploring the universe, because our curiosity has no limit. Thank you all, and I'm going to introduce John Grunsfeld, who is the head of space science at NASA.
Do we have sound? Great. Okay. We said before landing this afternoon, Charles and I here, that Mars is hard and success is not guaranteed. There are many out in the community who say that NASA has lost its way, that we don't know how to explore, that we've lost our moxie. I want you to look around tonight, all those folks with the blue shirts, think about what we've achieved. I think it's fair to say that NASA knows how to explore. We've been exploring, and we're on Mars. And while it certainly is an international collaboration, and we welcome the participation, this feat that you've seen tonight is something that only the United States of America can do, and the rover is made in the USA. And just to stay in character, we've been on the surface for 1 hour, 8 minutes, and 16 seconds. The last 8 months, and certainly for the 7 minutes of terror, has started to weave, an unbelievable story. As we get ready to transition to surface ops, I think what we really need to pay attention to now is that the Curiosity story is just beginning. And with that, I'll turn it over to the team.
Pete, that's the guy in charge of this project.
I think you can tell that the team is ecstatic at tonight's results. This is an incredible feeling for me personally, not only to be associated with such a tremendous event, but to have the privilege to be able to be asked to lead such an incredible team of people. I mean, as easy as it looked tonight, and it wasn't, but as easy as it looked tonight is because of the people in the blue shirts who are standing around you, and because of thousands of others around this country, around the world, who worked on this for 7-8 years to cause this to come to being. I mean, they've done an incredible job. Words cannot state the kind of job that they've done. 8 years ago, I sat on this stage and talked to some of you after the landing of Spirit, and then 3 weeks later after the landing of Opportunity. And I never thought I would ever say this, but this is better than that. I want to thank everyone who worked so hard on this project directly. Some of the people who've left the project because their work has been done, but they're with us in spirit tonight and have shared in the success. I want to thank, and I want them to thank, all the support of them, their significant others, and their families and their friends. This work is very hard, it's very demanding, and without the support at the home front, it can't be done successfully. And I know that my wife is, without whom I could not do this job, is a wonderful person. I'm sure that the team shares that attribute with their families as well. But I especially want to thank, and I especially want to recognize the gentleman who's sitting to my left, and that's Richard Cook. He has put blood, sweat, and tears into this project. But believe me, we would not have been successful without him tonight. And when you look at his record, Pathfinder, 2 MERS, and this one, unparalleled in the country today. I mean, just unparalleled. So I'll now let him humbly accept your accolades.
So that rocked. Seriously, was that not cool or what? Woo! I have been lucky enough to have done this now 4 times, and it never gets old. Seriously, it's just a great experience. And there are some people out there, Rob Manning and Dara Sabai and some of the other folks who have done this as many times, and I know they all just had the exact same experience as I did tonight, which just gets better every time. It just is amazing. Pathfinder was great, but we were young and stupid, frankly. And now to have an appreciation for how hard it is and how much effort it takes from as Pete said, a team of hundreds and thousands of people around the world is it's inspiring, and it's a little bit overwhelming at times how much effort has been required and how much everybody deserves this great success we've had. I can't let Pete compliment me without returning it. And there is the guy who's been in charge of 3 of these things. There's pretty much, I think nobody else in the world has that record to be the project manager for 3 Mars landings. And so I think that he's going to have that, no matter what he does from now on, he's going to know that he's the only guy in the world that's ever done that. So good job. There you go. Okay, well, then I want to also compliment the 2 guys to my left here. Let me start with the one furthest on the left there, he's now got the keys. He's the guy that's going to make this thing just go down in the record books as far as what we were able to learn on the surface. And I know he's already looking at the pictures saying, is that Mount Sharp? Or what can I see there? And all kinds of stuff. And so he's got the keys pretty soon. Not quite yet, but pretty soon he'll have the keys. Yeah, and he'll make some great history out of what we've been able to do with this thing on the surface. And I know Curiosity will, as I said, really set the record, go down in the record books as an amazing scientific mission. But I can't let the guy in between me go. My friend here, Dr. Stelzner, has been the father and the mother and everything in between of the landing system we've built, and certainly has been its biggest proponent. I remember going to reviews and him saying, "Hey, I think this thing can work, and you guys just have to give the team a chance." 7, 8 years ago, and then just stuck with it through every failed test, through every review that didn't quite work out the way we wanted it, and so he really deserves a huge amount of credit for what's happened tonight, and hopefully everybody appreciates his contributions. I know I certainly do. So. Say something profound.
I am terribly humbled by this experience. I, forever, secretly, have felt that I do not deserve to be in the position of leading the team that I lead, because they are certainly in sum and largely by count of individual more capable than I. That great things take many people working together to make them happen is one of the fantastic things of human existence. And in my life, I am and will be forever satisfied if this is the greatest thing that I have ever given. There is a new picture of a new place on Mars. And for me, at least, that's the big payoff. And to work as part of such a talented group of people, shepherded by Pete and Richard. And I'm not just talking about the EDL team, I'm talking about the entire team, soup to nuts. The caliber of people here at JPL, the other centers who contribute. It's a tremendous honor, and it is a humbling experience to work with them. And I think that this nation is a truly great representation of a corner or a piece of humanity that reaches out and explores and conquers and engineers. We are kind of tool makers, agriculturalists, pioneers, and that's reflected in the activities and actions and results of tonight. So I want to say thank you to the blue shirts.
Say something. Adam and his wife are expecting a baby in 3 weeks, so we wish them the great luck.
Thank you, Charles.
Child number 2.
Yes, my second daughter comes in just a few weeks here. My wife has been calm at home, or actually she's in Beckman Auditorium, but she was debating because the last thing we didn't want to have is 2 babies born on the same night. A couple of other groups of folks that I'd like to thank that I think we all are thankful for. Certainly this beautiful theater of tonight, the drama of us all being able to experience it together comes through the efforts of the Odyssey project and the Odyssey spacecraft and that team being able to get that bent pipe UHF telemetry to us, unrivaled in the experience for all of us. And naturally, the DSN and the X-band telemetry that really allowed us to back that up So please, a round of applause for our COM. And with that, really, I have nothing more to say. That picture says it all for me.
Thank you, Adam, for getting us on the surface. I think that is the best picture of Mars I've ever seen. And I can guarantee you in the days, hours, and months and years from now, you're going to be hearing about an incredible science story, and I'm not going to bore you with that tonight. You're going to have to wait for that one, because on behalf of everybody on the science team, 406 team members, we thank everybody that was involved in this enterprise, Charles, Pete, Richard, Adam, everybody that pulled this together. There were over 3,500 JPL employees. I won't count contractors and subcontractors, but I'm sure there were thousands more. 9 science instruments, 10 science instruments, 9 principal investigators, 7 countries, Germany, France, Spain, Russia, Denmark, Britain, Canada. All of us are the beneficiaries of your hard work. We've hardly even scratched the surface, and you're seeing it right there. And I just want to leave you with one thought about what this success brings to everybody that is involved in this enterprise. There is no greater inspiration for middle school children that are going to math, science, and engineering than a mission to Mars. The number of hits on the website is unparalleled. The emphasis on the excitement that this generates is what we bestow upon our children. The money, $2.5 billion, we don't put it in the rover and send it to Mars, we spend it here on Earth. And Charles mentioned at the beginning that this whole enterprise, if you divide it by every woman, child, man in this country, comes out to be the cost of the movie. I know, I speak on behalf of all my colleagues in science, that's a movie I want to see. So, thank you all.
Okay, we're going to open it up to questions now from the news media. And let me wait for a microphone to come over to you, and go ahead and give us your name and affiliation right there in the middle of the row. Go ahead, Craig.
With America Space. Adam, tell us about the landing.
All right, Greg. I can't tell you too much about it. I mean, it looks good. I'm being a little flip. In short, it looked extremely clean. We touched down in conditions that were on the more benign side of our nominal expectation. By the way, I want to preface everything. This is preliminary data scooped with the sieve in the cacophony of the control room during the celebration, right? And largely by my good friend Miguel San Martin, who's somewhere out there, I hope. At any rate, very nominal, remarkably good. Our navigation error was on the low side of our expectation, which meant that we probably had a good alignment between the celestial sensors and the inertial sensors, the IMU. Our powered flight appears to have been excellent. If my good friend Ben Toma is in the house, is Ben in the house? We landed with 140 kilograms of fuel reserves out of a total of 400 kilos that we carried in. And Ben worked quite diligently in stretching the tanks at my insistence because I was worried we wouldn't have enough fuel. And so I think I owe Ben a little bit of an apology there. So it looked good, in short. Good and clean. And it looks, at least by my eyeball, that we landed in a nice, flat spot. Beautiful. Really beautiful.
Shani Jardin from boingboing.net, and I'm a stand-in for Miles O'Brien with PBS NewsHour tonight.
You look more attractive than Miles.
I won't tell him that, Adam.
Okay.
I think he heard it.
What? I have to ask you, what kind of file type? Can you tell us about the image file type and compression that was used to send this very important couple of thumbnails back from Mars?
Yes, unfortunately, I absolutely cannot. If Justin Mackey is in the room, or there's a couple other people on the team who'd be able to whip that out quickly, but I couldn't tell you. Sorry.
Okay, we're going across the aisle over here. Let me just wait for the mic runner right there. Thank you.
Hi, Sally Rail with the Planetary Society, and this is for Adam. Two very quick questions. Well, first one's quick. Are you going to call your daughter Curiosity?
It is true that I think that curiosity is perhaps the central defining human attribute. I really do. And Richard and I were both part of a group of people who were in the process of helping winnow down the names of the school kids had taken. And there was, I don't know, a couple hundred that we looked at. And Curiosity was one of them. And I was smitten from the moment I saw that. And I'm so happy that the rover is Curiosity.
Okay, the next question is a little more
Is
than 48 hours ago.
Carla's right there.
Come on, Carla, stand up.
Stand up.
Stand up. Go ahead.
My daughter's name will not be Curiosity.
Okay, a serious question. A little more than 48 hours ago, you told me you would tell me a secret. Once Curiosity landed. Can I have my secret?
Yeah, what was this? A lot has happened in the last 48 hours. And to be very truthful, I do not recall what that secret was.
I'm going to hold you to this.
That's fine. Maybe I'll remember it.
Okay, looking for the next question. Up here, a little forward there. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivier Sangui and joyspace.com from France. So thank you for ChemCam and SAMGT, which is a French participation instrument. We did a webcast in France, in French, for people following, and I made a contract with Ustream saying, oh, there are not going to be a lot of people. Well, 40,000. And I said 4,000. Okay, sorry for that. Anyway, there is international cooperation and curiosity. Of course, it's an American success for the landing. I would like to know how this cooperation goes with the other countries. I think you learn something. I mean, engineers are engineers. Data is data. Numbers are numbers in every country. But you do have your own habits.
Mm-hmm.
How did you manage with that? Was that fine? Was there tensions? Enrichment, cultural, perhaps?
The question is with the other countries?
Yes.
Yes.
What did you learn with the others?
Right, I'll let Richard answer that one.
I think that it, in each case, because we were working part of this with the science teams, we had very good relations with the other countries that were working on it. In particular, the Spanish, and who built the high gain antenna for us, as well as one of the instruments. We had engineers on our side who would work closely with their teams. Very, very capable people, companies and organizations and personnel working on those efforts over there. So we certainly had our problems. We had our problems even on the U.S. parts of this. I mean, this is a challenging development, and there were challenges on almost every piece of the vehicle. So I think that my experience with working with the overseas elements was very good. That they're quite capable, and I think that hopefully they'll gain what the expertise they gain on this project, they'll be able to take that and to use it on their own endeavors in the future.
Okay, we're going next over here.
Leo Enright from Irish Television. The Unmanned Spaceflight website has coordinates for the landing that go down to something like 5 decimal points. I just wanted to confirm with you that that you do have those sort of coordinates. And am I reading those coordinates correctly when I see that it looks as though you've landed within 500 meters of the skirt around the mountain? That, I mean, you're really very close to the mountain at the closer end in the landing ellipse, and possibly within striking distance of the phyllosilicate trench.
I can't confirm that. My estimate, I'm looking for somebody, yes, there's somebody in the audience here who has that in the tip of their noggin. We should have soon that estimate, but I don't have it to 5 decimal places. We wouldn't report it to that because we're certain that we don't know it to that. And I don't know what the unmannedspaceflight.com estimate is.
Yeah, there's a team of people that are working on localization, including what information we got on the way down, you know, the nav filter, probably taking a picture at where, looking at the picture and trying to figure out from there where we are. I would imagine by tomorrow's press conferences, they should have a better idea where it came down, within a few hundred meters at least, hopefully.
Okay, the next question's over on this side.
I'm Chief Fan from TVBS Taiwan. We also have a live event in Taiwan. This is actually a question from our audience, which is, I think she's like around 10 years old girl, and she wants to know if it is possible, if there's any opportunity that JPL would consider to open up the opportunity for students to operate Curiosity in Mars, and then especially students from overseas. I want you to know if the answer is yes, I want to say my name right now.
You know, I got to tell you in all honesty, first we have to let them wait for the scientists to operate it, so.
Okay, we have a question. Henry, you're next.
Henry Bortman with Astrobiology Magazine. Can you tell us at what time Curiosity touched down, Earth received time, and at what time the first image came back?
I can tell you the first of those is 10:39 p.m. The second of those I don't have.
Go here in the center of the room.
I'm the director from Scholastic. Both Charles and John said that this is very much of an inspiration to young people. Can you tell me what inspired you when you were growing up? What made you decide to join NASA and do all of this amazing work?
Let me start. I was inspired by the first astronauts, the Gemini program, the Apollo program, and specifically here we are still in the heart of summer, and I remember being brought into the mess hall at summer camp to look at a small black and white TV along with a couple hundred other boys. It was a boys' camp in central Wisconsin, to see Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin land on the moon, July 21st, 1969. And that stuck with me and inspired me to go on to become a physicist, a scientist, to study math and science throughout school, eventually to apply to the astronaut corps, to go to space. And I hope, and it was a dream of mine for this evening, and I think we've achieved that, that for kids today, actually for everyone today, that this landing of Curiosity on the surface of Mars will be an inspiration that will lead people to think about the great science that's ahead of us and to go on to do great things. Someone else?
Sorry, Rob is making gestures at me out there in the audience, so I'm not sure what, I'm trying to interpret what he's saying. I mean, I think the thing, so the kinds of, I didn't have a specific activity or a thing, like John said, that inspired me, but so much as being able to do problem solving, right? And the thing that we do here, and NASA does, and JPL does, is we solve problems. And we solve problems that involve, obviously very state-of-the-art activities, but also things that require large teams of people working together in a really intimate way that is really different, I think, than almost any other human endeavor. It's amazing to solve a problem as complicated as landing on the surface of Mars, where you're utterly dependent on, a team of 100 or 200 or 1,000 other people to do their parts and to do it, to solve their problems and have all those problems work together. And it's just the scale of that endeavor, that problem solving, that is what got me attracted to working for NASA and for JPL. And I think that's, if I were to talk to my kids or to kids, to go in this field, that's the kind of thing that NASA and JPL does. And it's really, if you're interested in that sort of problem or in that sort of activity, this is the place to come and do it.
Okay, go ahead.
Raphael Jaffe with Aerotech News and Review up in Lancaster. What am I really seeing in that photo that is behind you? And I heard something about a second photo, shadow of the Curiosity being seen, and wheels, or a wheel of the Curiosity. So could you lead me through that photo? Maybe John or Adam or somebody. Thank you.
Well, I can just tell you, yes, what you're seeing in the first picture that you said, that was the shadow of Curiosity there in the view. These are the rear HAZ-CAM views, so we're looking out the back of the rover. I don't think we got any of the front HAZ-CAMs.
That's front.
Oh, is it front? Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you. It's front. There we go. The other one is the rear, and that is the wheel you see in the lower corner there. We do expect to get more pictures back in this upcoming Odyssey pass, which hopefully will be in about 25 minutes here, so we'll get yet more pictures. And these images were actually through the cover. And actually, if you go back to the other one for a second, can you switch to the other picture? You can see those little speckles around the black little dots or speckles around the outside, which is probably dust kicked up, during the landing event that's stuck onto the covers. And so it's good that we have covers because now we'll take those covers off, and hopefully those specks of dust will not be visible in the next set of pictures we get.
Okay.
Burkhard Bilgo, the New Yorker. I may be imagining this, but the one time during the landing the temperature seemed to drop in the room was when Adam asked for OD 278, and they said, no, we only have 277. What was happening, or was it anything of significance?
No. We are, as we're coming in, the navigators are continuing to make OD's orbital determination, where the spacecraft is, and updating, and they all have numbers, an estimate, an estimate, an estimate. And they get better as Mars grabs us, and the pull of Mars reduce some of the inherent uncertainty in that estimate. While that's going on, while EDL is happening, in the EDL war room in a different building, you were seeing it on some of the cameras, the flight dynamics team is running simulations to the ground with our simulation tool based on those updated ODs. And so I'd seen that OD at 228 had come up, and I was asking if they had that, because I had it, and they didn't have it over there yet, and they hadn't started it. That was what that was about.
Let me get a new question over here.
Ian Thompson from the Register. Question for John Grotzinger. You now get the keys to this and you can sort of get it moving along. What's the first stages that you'll go through in terms of getting Curiosity out there, and potentially how long could it survive on Mars beyond the 2-year span?
I'll take a swipe at the first one. We just want to get going first and check out all of the engineering systems and the science instruments. And this is a very, very, very complex spacecraft compared to what we've done before. And so because of that, we'll go through this long checkout period called the commissioning activity period. And, and Pete and Richard will be watching this very carefully. And we're going to make sure that we're firing on all cylinders before we blaze out across the plains there. But nested within those initial tests are going to be science observations. And so we have a plan to begin working through those as we test out the instruments. And in the next few days, you guys will be able to see some of the images. You'll see the results of the instrument health and aliveness checks and how we do. But the best way to think about this mission is on the order of days, weeks, months, and years. And we can loosely bound things. I think we expect to spend a couple of weeks checking things out and then maybe taking the first drive a short distance to some place where we'll go through the second phase of commissioning. And then in a matter of months, we hope to have used all of the instruments, including the SAM and the Chemin instruments, and done some scooping and drilling. And, you know, possibly within a year or so, we could be at the base of Mount Sharp, because the place we landed on looks pretty darn interesting, and we just don't want to rush out of there without having studied it real well. So it's the mission's about patience and checking things out carefully.
John and I have a bet as to whether or not how long it will take us to get to Mount Sharp, because my version of the surface mission is that it's like going on a family vacation and driving from here to Chicago, and except for your family has got 400 scientists who want to stop and look at every fossilized whatever they can find, and so he says it's not going to take that long, and I don't believe him. So
Richard's going to win.
Yeah.
John's going to search for the biggest ball of twine in Gale. In terms of the second part of your question, there is no inherent consumables on the spacecraft. We don't have gas or something we run out of inherently. We test the life-limiting characteristics tend to be the mechanisms, the motors, and those things. They tend to be outside in the cold, so they suffer the greatest thermal highs and lows. And we test those for 3 times life, and we don't test them to failure. So the nominal mission for this is 2 years, but I think if it lasts twice that, I don't think anyone would be shocked. And that's the first time anyone's ever gotten me to say anything more than 2 years. So I think you know, John's right. We've got a long mission ahead of us, and because of that and the capabilities of this rover, we have this possibility for just monumental science accomplishments. And the target we've gone to, I mean, this Mount Sharp is just, you know, this whole story of Mars, and we just can explore and explore and explore across that. The other side of that is, as I've said to the team, and I'll repeat it to the press here, is that we're in no hurry. Okay, we now have, as I said to the team, on 10/32 tonight, we would have a priceless asset, a priceless national asset, okay? And we are not going to, pardon the French, screw it up, okay? And therefore, we will take our time to understand its condition and understand if there's anything that happened during landing that we haven't uncovered yet. We will take our time to make sure that we understand how to operate it in this new and challenging environment. And then we will, with slow, deliberate, methodical pace, we'll begin the science explorations that the science team wants to take. So, so be patient with us, please, because we will be patient with curiosity.
Just realize that this is the second rover we have operating on the surface of Mars at the same time. That's pretty spectacular to have opportunity still there 8 years later, and Curiosity both doing its thing.
Continuous roving presence on the surface of Mars for in excess of 8 years now.
All right, with that, we're going to end tonight's news conference. We know that there is a next Odyssey pass coming up at about 12:40, and we're going to let you all take your time, get back up there, and get back to work. And I want to thank everyone for joining us. Stay tuned for our next commentary session that we will begin at around 12:30 for that overpass of the Odyssey spacecraft, and then follow the mission. Stay with us at www.nasa.gov/MSL for more updates. Join us tomorrow for another news conference at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Thank you so much.
spannendes Thema. Grüne Männchen sind bisher noch nicht gesichtet worden, aber die Sonde Curiosity, also zur deutschen Neugierde, ist ja auch gerade erst auf dem Mars gelandet.
Ja, und wer weiß, was da noch gefunden wird in den nächsten Tagen und Wochen. Erst einmal herzlich willkommen, liebe Zuschauer, zu unserem News-Spezial.
Ja, es war ein Riesenjubel da bei der NASA im Kontrollzentrum im kalifornischen Pasadena. Denn das komplizierte Landemanöver auf dem Mars, es hat geklappt.
Minutenlanger Jubel im NASA-Kontrollzentrum Pasadena in Kalifornien. Das Team liegt sich in den Armen, als klar ist, diese Landung ist geglückt. Der Mars-Rover mit dem Namen Curiosity hat sicher auf unserem Nachbarplaneten aufgesetzt und, was noch viel wichtiger ist, er ist voll funktionstüchtig. Die Zentrale bekommt sofort ein Signal des Roboters. Und dann das Unglaubliche. Schon wenige Minuten nach der Landung erreichen die ersten Bilder, die Curiosity von der Oberfläche des Mars aufnimmt, die Erde. Die Bodenkamera zeigt den Staub, der durch die Landung aufgewühlt wurde, und ein Bein von Curiosity. Ein anderes Bild, aufgenommen von der Kamera, die an einem Kranarm montiert ist, zeigt den Schatten des Mars-Rovers. Das Team kann es kaum glauben. Jetzt, wo wir das geschafft haben, sind wir so gespannt auf die Entdeckungen, die die Mission machen wird. Und wir freuen uns schon darauf, noch mehr Einsätze auf dem Mars zu machen und auf anderen Planeten. Das ist wirklich eine ganz schön mächtige Sache, die wir hier machen. Die Landung ist ganz nach Plan gelaufen. In genau 7 Minuten wurde Curiosity, wie in dieser Animation vorausgeplant, von fast 21.000 Kilometern pro Stunde auf 0 runtergebremst. Der Fallschirm öffnete sich, das Hitzeschild fiel ab und die Rückstoßraketen zündeten. Pünktlich um 7:31 Uhr unserer Zeit berührte der Roboter die Oberfläche des Mars. Für diese Meisterlandung kommen Lob und Gratulationen auch von den Kollegen aus Deutschland.
Wenn man sich überlegt, dass der Mars 250 Millionen Kilometer momentan von der Erde entfernt ist und dass man den Landeort innerhalb weniger Meter getroffen hat und auch fast zu der vorhergesehenen Zeit mit ein paar Sekunden Abweichung, dann ist das eigentlich unglaublich und kommt genau diesem Vergleich von hier ein Fußball nach Australien in ein kleines Tor zu schieben wahrscheinlich am nächsten.
Vor der Landung war die Anspannung beim Team groß. Schließlich sind gerade mal 6 der insgesamt 14 Landungen in der Vergangenheit geglückt. Mit der 1,9 Milliarden Euro teuren Mission ist nun der modernste und technisch am besten ausgestattete Mars-Rover am Ziel seiner Reise angekommen. Das Spektakel wurde auch in Deutschland live beobachtet. An der Universität in Kiel sind etwa 500 Besucher beim Public Viewing gewesen. Das Interesse ist hier natürlich besonders groß. Schließlich haben Forscher der Kieler Universität Strahlenmessgeräte an Bord der Curiosity. Damit sind die Kieler Forscher direkt an der Mission beteiligt. 2 Jahre lang soll Curiosity nun auf dem Mars bleiben und letztendlich die Fragen aller Fragen beantworten. Hat es Leben auf dem Mars gegeben und ist ein Leben auf dem roten Planeten auch für uns möglich? Curiosity hat mit der Arbeit begonnen. Jetzt dürfen sich die Forscher auf viel Material freuen.
Und in unserem Berliner Studio ist jetzt der Planetenforscher Professor Ralf Jaumann vom Deutschen Zentrum für Luft- und Raumfahrt. Herr Professor Jaumann, guten Tag. Wie wahrscheinlich ist es denn, dass die Sonde wirklich Spuren von Leben auf dem Mars findet oder wenigstens Hinweise auf lebensfreundliche Bedingungen?
Guten Tag. Die Wahrscheinlichkeit ist natürlich schwer einzuschätzen, weil wir nicht richtig wissen, ob es wirklich Leben auf dem Mars gegeben hat. Curiosity selber kann auch das Leben, das richtige Leben gar nicht nachweisen, aber eben die Spuren. Und Spuren heißt chemische Zusammensetzungen, chemische Verbindungen, die mit Kohlenstoff, aus Kohlenstoff bestehen, vielleicht sogar bis in die Richtung von Aminosäuren. Und Curiosity ist das erste Labor, das wir auf dem Mars haben, das in der Lage ist, solche Untersuchungen durchzuführen, einigermaßen vernünftig durchzuführen. Das heißt so, dass man am Schluss sagen kann, es gibt die Spuren oder es gibt sie nicht.
Jetzt ist Curiosity erstmal gut gelandet. Wie geht es jetzt weiter? Wird sie buddeln und graben auf der Marsoberfläche?
Also erstmal wird man jetzt natürlich alles überprüfen und es wird noch ein bisschen dauern, bis er losfährt. Dann wird man erstmal das Gelände beobachten, aufnehmen und vermessen. Denn es ist immer noch so, dass man für ein Signal zum Mars 14 Minuten braucht. Das heißt, Curiosity muss sehr, sehr viel allein können und dafür muss man natürlich vorher genau den Weg aussuchen, den er fahren soll. Und dann werden natürlich alle Instrumente erstmal getestet, haben die Landung richtig gut überlebt und sind die funktionsfähig. Und dann wird man sich auf den Weg machen. Man ist natürlich an der, ja, soll man sagen, flachsten Stelle in dieser Gegend gelandet und dort ist zwar wahrscheinlich sehr viel Material zusammengeschwemmt worden, das wird man auch als erstes untersuchen, aber man will sicherlich eben zu diesem Berg in der Mitte hinfahren, der aus verwittertem Material besteht. Das heißt also Gestein, das sehr, sehr lange im Wasser gelegen ist. Und dort hat man natürlich die Hoffnung, dass man eben nicht nur an der Oberfläche, sondern auch in den Spalten, in den Ritzen der Gesteine und der Gesteinsschichten nachschauen kann. Und Curiosity ist da dafür natürlich auch perfekt ausgerüstet, hat alles zum Bohren, zum Schleifen, zum Kratzen dabei.
Professor Ralf Jaumann, Dankeschön nach Berlin.
Ja, jetzt ist Moritz Wedel im Studio. Moritz, wir haben da eben die tollen Bilder gesehen, wie sich die Menschen, also die NASA-Mitarbeiter, gefreut haben. Irrsinnige Erleichterung. Das Ganze, dieses Landemanöver, war extrem kompliziert, oder?
Ja, auch der gesamte Flug war eine Mammutaufgabe für die Experten der NASA. 900 Kilogramm mussten transportiert werden von der Erde zum Mars. So viel wiegt dieses Mars Science Laboratory und davon ist ja dieser Rover, dieser Curiosity nur ein kleines Stückchen. Schauen wir uns das mal an. Also hier dieses Marschflugmodul, das hat dafür gesorgt, dass überhaupt der Rover erstmal zum Mars gekommen ist. Er hat die ganze Reise gesteuert. Dann sehen wir hier diese Kapsel und in dieser Kapsel, da steckt die Abstiegsstufe, die wiederum hat den Rover, den wir hier sehen, zu Boden gelassen, auf den Mars sicher landen lassen. Das wurde das allererste Mal so gemacht mit diesen Seilen. Bevor das aber passieren konnte, musste ein waghalsiges Bremsmanöver überstanden werden. 16 Meter groß war dieser Fallschirm, den wir hier sehen. Der hat sich geöffnet in 11 Kilometern Höhe und dann gab es eine Bremsung, die es in sich hatte, von 21.000 Kilometer pro Stunde auf 3 Kilometer pro Stunde und das innerhalb weniger Sekunden. Auch das hat er gut überstanden, der Curiosity, und deshalb freut er sich natürlich jetzt heil auf dem Mars zu sein, wie wir hier auf Twitter lesen können. I'm safely on the surface of Mars. Gut, da twittert er natürlich nicht selber, sondern NASA-Kollegen, aber sie versuchen, diesem wunderbaren Hightech-Roboter so ein bisschen ein menschliches Antlitz zu geben und die Menschen so zu interessieren. Und Bilder werden auch immer ins Netz geschickt, damit man ganz hautnah dabei sein kann, wenn Curiosity sich umschaut auf dem roten Planeten.
Die unbemannte Marssonde Curiosity ist erfolgreich auf dem roten Planeten gelandet. Das 900 Kilogramm schwere Roboterfahrzeug sendet bereits erste Signale und Fotos vom Mars. In den kommenden 2 Jahren soll Curiosity dort nach Spuren von Leben suchen. Mehr dazu von Angela Friedrich.
Minutenlang jubelten die Mitarbeiter im Kontrollzentrum in Pasadena im US-Bundesstaat Kalifornien. Verständlich, denn bei der Roverlandung hätte auch viel schiefgehen können. Kurz nachdem Curiosity festen Boden unter den Rädern hatte, sendete er die ersten Bilder vom roten Planeten. Bevor es losging, bin ich rausgegangen, habe nach Westen geschaut und den Mars gesehen. Ich habe gesagt, bald wirst du einen Besucher haben. Und der Planet hat gelächelt. Ich wusste also, dass es klappen wird. Wie geplant ist Curiosity um 7:31 Uhr mitteleuropäischer Zeit im Gale-Krater gelandet. 7 Minuten brauchte die Sonde für die Landephase, um von knapp 21.000 Kilometern pro Stunde auf 0 abzubremsen. Auch in Deutschland bei der Europäischen Raumfahrtorganisation ESA gab es erleichterte Gesichter nach der Landung. Für die nächsten 2 Jahre wird das 6-rädrige unbemannte Fahrzeug den Mars nach Hinweisen auf Leben untersuchen. Dafür hat Curiosity eine ganze Reihe von Messinstrumenten an Bord, auch ein Strahlenmessgerät von der ESA.
Die ganz zentrale Frage ist, gibt es Leben auf dem Mars? Man kann sich da jetzt natürlich nicht vorstellen, dass man da irgendwelche kleinen grünen Männchen findet. Das mögen Viren, Bakterien, Einzeller sein.
Insgesamt $2 Milliarden lässt sich die NASA die teure Mission kosten. Denn nachdem im vergangenen Jahr das Shuttle-Programm der US-Raumfahrtbehörde eingestellt wurde, ist Curiosity das neue Vorzeigeprojekt.
Seit knapp 6 Stunden hat die Menschheit einen neuen Kundschafter auf dem Mars. Der irdische Neuankömmling hört auf den Namen Curiosity, zu Deutsch Neugier. Und diesem Namen soll er jetzt alle Ehre machen, denn der Roboter auf Rädern, hier sehen wir ihn im Maßstab 1:1, soll vor allem die chemische Beschaffenheit des roten Planeten analysieren. Die Erkundungsfahrten sollen die Menschheit der Erfüllung eines alten Traumes näher bringen, eines Tages einen Menschen auf den Mars zu schicken. Die Landung des Roboters feiert heute allerdings nicht nur die amerikanische NASA. Auch im Raumflugkontrollzentrum der Europäischen Raumfahrtbehörde, der ESA in Darmstadt, wird gefeiert. Denn die Wissenschaftler und Techniker dort haben großen Anteil am Erfolg dieser Mars-Mission.
Ohne sie wäre alles noch viel unsicherer gewesen, denn sie hatten mit der ESA-Sonde Mars Express den besten Blick auf die kritischste Phase der neuen Mars-Mission, die letzten Minuten vor der Landung.
Wir haben natürlich mit unseren Kollegen von der NASA mitgefiebert. Man weiß, es kann viel, viel schief gehen, obwohl das so oft simuliert wurde. Wir sind natürlich heilfroh, dass die Landung hervorragend geklappt hat.
570 Millionen Kilometer hatte Curiosity seit dem Start im vergangenen November bereits zurückgelegt. Doch wirklich kritisch wurde es erst auf den letzten paar tausend Metern. Innerhalb von nur 7 Minuten musste die Kapsel mit dem Rover von 21.000 Kilometern pro Stunde gezielt heruntergebremst werden. Zunächst mit einem Überschallfallschirm, dann mit einer Technik, die die NASA erstmals ausprobierte. Ein fliegender Kran setzte den Rover auf der Oberfläche ab. Jeder Fehler hätte alles zunichte gemacht. Ein ehrgeiziges Manöver mit einem ebenso ehrgeizigen Ziel.
Es sind eine Vielzahl neuer Instrumente an Bord, die es ermöglichen, also neue Untersuchungen, was die Atmosphäre die Zusammensetzung der Atmosphäre angeht, die Zusammensetzung des Bodens, die Suche nach Wasser, Wassereis oder in gebundener Form in dem Gestein, in dem Regolith durchzuführen und natürlich insbesondere die möglicherweise den Nachweis für Leben zu erbringen. Das wäre natürlich eine absolute Sensation, wenn das gelingen würde.
Die Hoffnung, dass der Nachweis dieses Mal gelingt, ist groß, denn der Landeplatz für Curiosity wurde genau auf das Missionsziel abgestimmt. Der Gale-Krater liegt in einem Gebiet mit leicht zugänglichen Erdschichten aus etlichen Jahrtausenden Marsgeschichte. Hier wollen die Forscher fündig werden.
Man sucht nach Ton, also so eine Art von Erde, die entsteht nur, wenn es für längere Zeit Wasser gibt. Und das könnte so Ideen geben über die Entstehung von Leben vielleicht auf dem Mars oder auch nicht. Das ist natürlich immer die große Frage.
Die ersten Bilder des Rovers zeigen, die Mission ist erfolgreich angelaufen. 23 Monate lang soll Curiosity die Marsoberfläche nun untersuchen. Bis zu 200 Meter legt er dabei pro Tag zurück. Kleine Schritte für einen Roboter, aber hoffentlich ein großer Sprung für die Weltraumforschung.
And he mentioned how big Curiosity is compared to past versions. Now, let's bring up a side-by-side look at the last 3 generations. Sojourner is the small one right in the middle, that little itty-bitty thing. It landed on Mars 15 years ago, and that makes it one of a few successes. NASA made this scorecard ahead of Curiosity's landing, and it shows the results of 39 missions targeting Mars. As you can see, 15 made it, but most failed. Now let's update that scorecard with another win for Earth. And as for the U.S. alone, it now has 14 successes out of 19 attempts. And that is Newsstream. But the news continues at CNN. World Business Today is next.
Scenes of celebration at the American Space Agency when its robotic vehicle Curiosity successfully landed on Mars, having completed a 570 million kilometer journey from Earth lasting nearly 9 months. Scientists call the descent onto Mars the 7 minutes of terror because the probe went through a blind spot from Earth.
The scientists and engineers celebrate the historic landing of Curiosity. The Mars rover cost $2.5 billion and travelled across hundreds of millions of kilometres to get to the red planet. Well, now comes the fun part, searching for signs that there ever was or might still be life on Mars. CNN's John Zarella has been closely covering the mission, of course, joins me now from Pasadena, California's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. You know, John, I was saying the word boffin. I don't know if it's used much in the United States, but you know, I've never seen so many boffins quite so excited.
You know, and boy, I tell you what, it was really a good thing to see because there was a tremendous amount of pressure on the NASA folks, the NASA team, for this to go right. This was the last of the big picture missions to Mars that's on the table. A couple of smaller missions, one with the Europeans and another one that they're talking about, but nothing this grandiose. The last of the grand exploration missions. And the hope was that if they could pull this off, never before attempted landing the way they did it, the way they had to carry it out, if they could pull it off, that it might jumpstart the whole idea of continuing Mars exploration. And the reason, Michael, they had to do it the way they did it, flying through the atmosphere 13,000 miles an hour, a parachute deploying, then a series of pyrotechnic events, then a sky crane dropping the vehicle down to the planet, was because if you look behind me, that's a mock-up of the Curiosity rover. It's 2,000 pounds. It's the size of a small car, and there was no other way that they could figure out to get something that big in one piece on the surface, and they did it. And as I was talking to one of the members of the engineering team, he said to me, "You know what? I don't have to have nightmares anymore about this. It's over. They did it, and Curiosity's on the ground."
And before you go, I gotta say, okay, what now?
Yeah, well, what now? That's it. So now for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be getting images back. We're going to get some new pictures this afternoon. We will get a picture in just a couple of hours that shows Curiosity coming through the atmosphere. It's parachute deployed. That picture taken from the reconnaissance orbiter overhead of Mars. Later today, you know, remember those great images from Apollo where you could actually see the dust coming up as the Apollo spacecraft were landing? Well, they had a descent camera on this vehicle. We're going to get some of those images later today. And then the science will begin, and they will be out looking for the building blocks of life. Carbon, water, methane gas. They can't detect life itself, but with this rover, they can get us one step closer to answering that question. Did life ever exist on Mars? And perhaps does it still?
Yeah, I know you love this stuff too, John, as do I. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
amazing, isn't it? And I love the graphics. All right, good to see you, my friend. We'll check in with you a little later. John Zarella there. Master of... If you're going to go live there, if we're going to colonize, you'll need to take a jacket.
That's right. Curiosities about Mars here that I want to show you. Let's go ahead and, oh, there I am. Look at that magic. Let me go ahead and show you what we have. This is Google Mars. Did you know they have that? Kind of like Google Earth, but we have Google Mars too, and Google Moon and Google Space. Let's go ahead and talk about Google Mars here and talk about the red planet. This is the Gale crater, very close to where Curiosity actually landed, and they didn't pick the site at random. There's a reason why NASA is aiming for Mars. It's because of the way it looks. Why didn't they go to Venus, right? Well, it's farther away, but Mars has a solid surface. They know that, and they can see it a little bit easier. This is the Gale crater, as I was telling you, and it's an area of geological interest. You see all these dots and all of these different things. Those are other impacts and other interesting features in the topography of Mars that make it extremely interesting for scientists to actually go there. They think that some of these ripples and some of these things, these scars that we see on the red planet, may have actually been formed by water. There's other really cool things like this right over here. This is Olympus Mons, and it's actually a volcano. It's the tallest volcano in our solar system, and at about 27 kilometers, it's hard to tell here because it's just so wide. At about 27 kilometers, it's actually 3 times taller than Mount Everest. I thought that was pretty cool. And check this out, Michael. This right here, this is called Valles Marineris, and it's 100 kilometers wide on average and 10 kilometers deep. Imagine something 10 times deeper than the Grand Canyon, and they say this may have been caused by water as well. And then after that, even though it's longer than the Mississippi River, that's not all. There's more. There's vast plains like this one right over here, and they say maybe this was created by water. You know, when you go to the beach and the water leaves and the sand is nice and smooth, well, they say this may be one of those places.
I don't know why we need to be sending these missions to Mars. Just use Google Mars and, you know, we'll see if anybody's standing out the front of their house. Be able to find out that way. All right, good to see you, Mari Ramos there. UFO-Alarm auf dem Mars. Die Marsianer, falls es welche gibt, bekamen heute spektakulären Besuch von der Erde. Aus dem All schwebte Curiosity, die Neugier, am Überschallbremsschirm auf den roten Planeten und setzte butterweich auf. Zum Glück, sonst hätte die NASA Milliarden in den Marssand gesetzt. Stattdessen gab es schon erste Marsbilder und zur Feier des Tages Schokoriegel für die NASA-Truppe. Die Marke ist ja wohl klar. Peter Hantjes.
Touchdown confirmed. We're safe on Mars.
Sie freuen sich wie kleine Jungs über ein heiß ersehntes Weihnachtsgeschenk. Die erfolgreiche Landung lässt eine Riesenlast von den Schultern der Wissenschaftler fallen. Und als kurz darauf auch noch das erste Foto des Mars-Roboters auf der Leinwand erscheint, sind einige kaum noch zu halten.
It looked extremely clean.
Der Landeplatz scheint unglaublich sauber zu sein. Wir hatten auf eine gute Landung gehofft, doch das hat unsere Erwartungen übertroffen. Zum Glück, denn Curiosity hatte angezogen von der Gravitation des Mars zuletzt auf mehr als 20.000 Stundenkilometer beschleunigt, bevor ihn ein Überschallfallschirm in gerade mal 7 Minuten für die Landung abbremsen musste. Eine Art raketenbetriebener Kran seilte den Rover schließlich auf die Marsoberfläche ab. Dort soll das familienvan-große Vehikel seinem Namen Curiosity, zu Deutsch Neugier, alle Ehre machen und nach Leben suchen.
Die zentrale Frage wird sein, kann man den Nachweis für Leben erbringen, Einzeller, irgendwelche Amöben, was auch immer, vielleicht auch nur ein Anzeichen dafür, dass es früher mal existiert hat, aber das wäre wirklich die absolute Sensation.
Doch erst einmal freuen sich die deutschen Raumfahrtexperten mit ihren amerikanischen Kollegen über die erfolgreiche Landung. Schon bald könnte es in Darmstadt ähnliche Szenen geben, wenn ESA eigene Rover auf dem Mars landen.
Der kleine Roboter auf 6 Rädern soll nach Leben auf dem roten Planeten suchen. Die Mission gilt zudem als Testlauf, um Menschen zum Mars zu bringen. Jan Bulich berichtet.
Die Nervosität im kalifornischen Kontrollzentrum ist mit Händen greifbar, bis die Meldung der geglückten Landung kommt.
Touchdown confirmed. We're safe on Mars.
Und dann funkt Curiosity seine ersten Bilder vom Mars. In diesem Augenblick bahnt Curiosity den Weg für menschliche Fußstapfen auf dem Mars. Das fortschrittlichste Roboterfahrzeug aller Zeiten ist jetzt auf dem roten Planeten. 8 Monate brauchte die Sonde für die 250 Millionen Kilometer Entfernung zwischen Mars und Erde. Heute Morgen bremste sie von 21.000 auf 3 Stundenkilometer ab, um dann, wie die Simulation zeigt, den Roboter abzuseilen. Die Europäische Raumfahrtbehörde unterstützte die 2,5 Milliarden Dollar teure amerikanische Mission mit Satellitendaten. Deutsche Forscher halfen bei der Entwicklung. Bereits 1975 landete die erste Sonde erfolgreich auf dem Mars. Doch keine der bisherigen Missionen fand, was in den kommenden 2 Jahren nun Curiosity suchen soll.
Das Hauptziel ist es wirklich, den Nachweis zu erbringen, ob es auf dem Mars Leben gibt oder vielleicht mal Leben gegeben hat in Form von Einzellern, von Amöben, von Sporen, was auch immer.
Es geht aber auch ums Prestige. US-Präsident Obamas Devise, in 2 Jahrzehnten auch Menschen auf den Mars zu schicken, rückt näher. Auch Russland und die Europäische Raumfahrtbehörde üben bereits die bemannte Mission zum roten Planeten.
Heute aber haben wir den Mars geentert mit der NASA-Sonde Curiosity.
Ja, es ist das größte Forschungsfahrzeug, das den Mars je erreicht hat. So groß wie ein kleines Auto, kann man sagen. Und deshalb begeisterte diese Landung heute wirklich weltweit.
Ja, und auch deutsche Technik steckt drin und soll jetzt nach Leben auf dem Mars suchen. Rund 2 Milliarden Euro kostet das Ganze. Und deshalb war das eine spannende Landung heute.
Und schon wenige Minuten nach dieser Landung funkte Curiosity die ersten Bilder von der Marsoberfläche. Mission geglückt. Mit 21.000 Stundenkilometer raste die Sonde heute Morgen in die Atmosphäre des Mars. Temperaturen von 1600 Grad musste sie dabei überstehen, um dann abrupt mit Fallschirmen abgebremst zu werden. Das Marsmobil hat tatsächlich die Ausmaße eines Kleinwagens und musste von einem mitfliegenden Kran abgeseilt werden. Ob all diese waghalsigen Manöver geklappt hatten, erfuhren die NASA-Mitarbeiter erst, als das Funksignal der Sonde bei ihnen ankam. Die Wissenschaftler nannten diese Zeit die 7 Minuten des Grauens. Mit an Bord Messinstrumente aus Köln. Günter Reitz vom Deutschen Luft- und Raumfahrtzentrum hat sie mitentwickelt. Auch er verfolgte heute gebannt die Landung.
Das heißt, jetzt ist das Ding auch.
Vielleicht haben Sie die kleine Träne gesehen. Also ich habe mich wirklich gefreut. Es war auch sehr erregend und ich springe natürlich nicht auf, aber ich bin natürlich sehr glücklich, dass wir jetzt auf dem Mars sind und schaue dann mit Erwartung oder erwartungsvoll in die Zukunft, dass wir auch unser Instrument initialisiert kriegen und dass wir dann die ersten Daten von Mars bekommen.
Ralf Jaumann ist Direktor des Instituts für Planetenforschung im DLR. Er erhofft sich ganz neue Erkenntnisse durch das 900-Kilo-Gefährt, vor allem ob es auf dem Mars früher einmal Leben gegeben hat.
Curiosity kann alles. Es kann bohren, kratzen, es kann in Spalten rumfischen, es kann all das holen, was der Wissenschaftler sich begehrt und kann es dann auch noch chemisch untersuchen, bis runter zu eigentlich den atomaren Verbindungen, die da vorkommen.
Die Detektoren des DLR sollen die kosmische Strahlung messen. Voraussetzung für die erste bemannte Mars-Mission.
Das ist natürlich der große Traum der Menschheit, zum Mars zu kommen oder auch im gesamten Sonnensystem eben Untersuchungen durchzuführen, sich auch zu verbreiten. Ich finde, das solare System ist ein geeigneter Lebensraum und der sollte genutzt werden. Das ist unsere Vision.
200 Meter rollt die Sonde nun täglich über den Mars. 2 Jahre lang soll erforscht werden, ob es auf unserem Nachbarplaneten jemals Leben gegeben hat und ob dort in Zukunft Menschen leben können.
Es ist eine Sternstunde für die Raumfahrt. Mehr als 8 Monate war er unterwegs. Jetzt ist der Roboter Curiosity, auf Deutsch Neugier, auf dem Mars angekommen. Curiosity ist, wie Sie hier sehen, so groß wie ein Kleinwagen und damit das bisher größte Fahrzeug auf dem roten Planeten. Er soll die Frage klären, ob es hier einmal Leben gab. Mit einem Laser untersucht der Roboter die Marsoberfläche. Für genauere Analysen sammelt er Gesteinsproben ein. Die werden in einem eingebauten Minilabor stark erhitzt. In den freigesetzten Gasen hofft man dann, Spuren von Leben zu finden. Die erfolgreiche Landung wurde im NASAs Kontrollzentrum überschwänglich gefeiert. Shakuntala Banerjee berichtet.
Sound confirmed. We're safe on Mars.
Es ist die Erleichterung nach etlichen Jahren Arbeit, die sich hier Bahn bricht. Seit 2004 hat die NASA am neuen Mars-Rover getüftelt und die Idee zu der Mission ist noch älter. Um 7:31 Uhr europäischer Zeit der erlösende Moment. Das erste Funksignal des gelandeten Rovers erreicht die Erde. Das war eine verrückte Nacht, auf die haben wir mehr als 12 Jahre gewartet. Jetzt passiert es, jetzt geht's endlich los. Das Landemanöver war das ehrgeizigste in der Geschichte der NASA. 7 Minuten Präzisionsarbeit inklusive einer völlig neuen Landetechnik. Ein fliegender Kran setzt das Roboterfahrzeug in der Zielzone ab. Der deutsche Beitrag zum 2 Milliarden Euro teuren Mars-Abenteuer, die Überwachung der Landung durch ein Team der ESA. Hier sieht mancher den Rover als Wegbereiter für eine noch größere Mission.
Ich bin fest davon überzeugt, dass vielleicht in 2 Jahrzehnten, vielleicht in 3 Jahrzehnten dann auch irgendwann einmal Menschen auf den Mars fliegen werden und auch das wird eine internationale Mission werden.
Curiosity wird fast 2 Jahre lang Daten und Bilder liefern. Alles für die Beantwortung einer Frage. Gab oder gibt es Wasser und damit vielleicht auch Leben auf dem Mars? An dem Projekt sind auch deutsche Wissenschaftler der Uni Kiel beteiligt. Ihre Arbeit hilft, die Strahlung auf dem Planeten zu erforschen. Auch wenn die ersten Bilder noch recht trübe wirken, die Aussichten auf Neues vom Mars sind seit heute ausgezeichnet.
NASA's Curiosity rover is wheels down on Mars and beaming back images of the red planet. Its 2-year mission is to seek out signs of life, past or present. It's starting with the Gale crater, which scientists believe may once have contained a lake.
Auf Deutsch Neugier ist auf dem roten Planeten angekommen und hat schon Bilder zur Erde gefunkt. Die Landung war weltweit mit großer Spannung erwartet worden. Denn in einem komplizierten Manöver musste Curiosity binnen weniger Minuten von rasender Geschwindigkeit auf 0 abgebremst werden.
Zittern bis zur letzten Sekunde. Dann endlich die erlösende Meldung: Touchdown für Curiosity. Die Marssonde ist sicher auf dem roten Planeten gelandet. Und die sonst so beherrschten NASA-Wissenschaftler lassen ihren Gefühlen freien Lauf. Nach knapp 570 Millionen Kilometern Wegstrecke eine Punktlandung. Planmäßig erreicht der ferngesteuerte Forschungsroboter sein Einsatzgebiet, einen Meteoritenkrater auf dem Mars. Curiosity, die ausgefeilteste Sonde, die je gebaut wurde, ist nun auf dem roten Planeten, um uralte Fragen zu beantworten, etwa ob es jemals Leben gab auf dem Mars oder ob dort in Zukunft Leben möglich wäre. Ab jetzt bahnt Curiosity da oben den Weg für uns Menschen. Schon wenige Minuten nach der Landung schickt Curiosity erste Schwarz-Weiß-Fotos von der Marsoberfläche zur Erde. Auch diese Bilder sorgen für Jubel beim NASA-Bodenpersonal. Es sieht so aus, als habe der 2,5 Milliarden US-Dollar teure Roboter die Landung unbeschadet überstanden. In den kommenden Jahren soll das Labor auf Rädern sich vor allem auf die Suche nach Wasser auf dem Mars machen. Am Times Square verfolgen viele New Yorker den nächtlichen magischen Moment. Die erfolgreiche Landung der Marssonde beflügelt die stolze Weltraumnation. US-Präsident Obama gratuliert und dankt der NASA per Twitter. Amerika habe erneut Geschichte geschrieben.
Weitere Bilder, Animationen und Informationen der NASA zur Mars-Mission finden Sie auf tagesschau.de.
I'm in Times Square tonight where people are gathering to see whether one of the most complex space rovers ever built successfully lands on Mars. NASA is actually streaming the event live on one of the screens behind me. It's a $2.5 billion mission with any number of things that could go wrong. The landing is scheduled to occur at 1:30 a.m. It'll take just 7 minutes for the rover to get from the top of Mars's atmosphere to its surface. And the rover itself is called Curiosity, and we'll see what happens.
When I had heard that Curiosity was like the size of an SUV and that they were going to use rocket-powered launches and that they were going to dangle it from cables, I was just like, whoa.
Oh, a lot can go wrong. Mars has wind, Mars has dust, it has rocky terrain. It's a terrible place to land, unfortunately.
I'm anxious for it to land because I do have to work tomorrow. I want to see the first pictures, but I know I won't be able to stay up until they get like the clear views of everything. But if I can at least see the landing, it'll be something.
We're down to 90 meters per second at an altitude of 6.5 kilometers and descending.
Risk mode is nominal.
We're at 9 kilometers and descending.
Leads active. Valid range.
Touchdown confirmed. We're safe on Mars.
Curiosity land on Mars.